So are you all enjoying the winters of Delhi? Okay. So we are going to do two topics today. One topic is going to be basically we are going to cover the early Indian national movement that is beginning from 1857. We'll cover until 1885. Then we are also going to talk about we are going to in a way those who have already attended. It will be a revision. Otherwise, it will be like kind of like a surgical strike on moderates plus extremist topic. And then in the second half or somewhere, we'll talk about the revolutionaries, right? So therefore, that is going to be the focus of the things. Now, I've created a handout for this. So, but we'll try to use board also. So this is the third masterclass that we are having. So this is moderates and extremists. The economic aspects. So for example, moderates have a topic of drain theory that we covered in the last masterclass, whereby we talked about the drain theory. In the next masterclass, whenever it happens, we'll be taking up all the constitutional reforms which were done by the Britishers. That is from Regulating Act 1773 until the Government of India Act 1935. Right, that is in one session. We'll be covering it all. So therefore, right now we are going to begin with this thing. Right. So for example, certain questions have been asked, like why did the moderates fail to carry conviction with the nation about their proclaimed ideology, political goals by the end of 19th century? Then there was a question, to what extent did the role of moderates prepare a base for the wider freedom movement comment? So what does a student understand from the analysis of the previous year question? That's 2017, that's 4 years later, right? The theme is same, moderates, but in one of the question they are asking about the negatives of the moderates or the failures of the moderates, and in the second question they are asking about the positives of the moderates, right? So therefore that's how you analyze, you identify a theme, and then in the second layer of filtering you try to identify that which aspect of that theme has been asked and which aspect of that theme is pending, right? Usually in any theme, in history or other subjects, the focus is what is that theme, how that theme was implemented, what are the positives or the negatives, that is the consequences of the theme, right? So usually किसी भी topic को, किसी भी scheme को you can cover in this manner. What is the scheme? Why it is being brought? What is the impact? Positive impact, negative impact. So therefore this basic structure you can apply to all the subjects including history, right? So therefore this is one thing which I wanted to highlight. Apart from that, evaluate the policies of Lord Curzon and their long-term implications on the national movement. That is regarding extremists, because it was during the time period of Curzon 1899-1905 that partition of Bengal was done. That triggered the Swadeshi movement. That had positive implications for the Indian national movement because it was the first movement led by the extremists. But it had a negative implication also. What was the negative implication of the Swadeshi movement? Or what was the negative implication of the actions of Lord Curzon? Anyone? East Pakistan, in the sense that creation of Muslim League happened, right? Because we are talking about the implication on the national movement. Nation is summation of people who feel one, equal and supreme. So therefore, organized communal politics has begun in 1906 because Muslim League was created to ensure that partition of Bengal is not undone under pressure of Swadeshi movement by Curzon, by Minto 1905 to 1910, right? So therefore evaluate the policies of Lord Curzon and their long-term implications on the national movements. Okay? So most of the students, they'll be focused only on the positive aspect. They'll keep on talking about Swadeshi movement. But which student will talk about Muslim League? That student will be getting extra marks, right? That is one paragraph dedicated to negative aspect. That's why very keen observation of the question, properly understanding demand of the question. That is what they call understanding the demand of the question. For example, in this particular question, the first question, if your paragraphs are not allocated to ideology and how there was some mismatch in the ideology and what masses wanted. Because the question is, why did the moderates fail to carry conviction with nation? They use good English. What do you mean by carry conviction with nation? Nation is people. Carry conviction means, the question is very simple, why moderates could not convince the masses in favor of their ideology, their goals, and their methods or goals and this thing, right? So therefore, if your paragraphs are not dedicated as per ideology, if your paragraphs are not dedicated as per goals, and when will that happen? Only when your short notes are in such a manner that clearly in your short notes you have 5 points on their ideology, you have 5 points on their goals. Tabhi to in the examination hall within 5 minutes you'll be able to organize your answer like this. So therefore, after analysis of the previous year question, what does a student understand? That I need to have my short notes in a very organized manner. If I make those short notes, I need to be very objective. That is, I need to know the why, the how, the what, and the implications. And if for all the topics, big or small, of all the subjects, if I'm able to study in that manner, most probably I'll be able to handle the questions of the UPSC mains. That is how you analyze the previous year questions, right? That is how you learn about how to learn. Previous year questions is not copy paste. वो यूनिवर्सिटी वाला सिस्टम नहीं है कि लास्ट 10 years का क्वेश्चन बैंक कर लिया तो 4 क्वेश्चन चेपे जाएंगे. दैट इज़ नॉट द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन थिंग. बोर्ड का एग्जाम नहीं है ना कि लास्ट 10 years के क्वेश्चन कर लिए तो इसमें 60% रिपीट हो जाएंगे. That is not how you analyze previous year questions of UPSC. You try to understand the mind of the UPSC and you try to learn that how you should learn for UPSC. है ना? So it has implications for your note making. It has implications for your thought process. Right? That is the meaning of analyzing the PYQs. Right? So ऐसा. Here, regarding the early Indian national movement, what do you mean by early Indian national movement? It basically means the pre-1885 Indian national movement. In 1885, Congress was set up. Why establishment of Congress is important? Because it was the first all India organization. Right? That's why. So therefore, one PYQ is there, trace emergence of Indian national movement until foundation of Indian National Congress. That is, tell me about 1857 until 1885. Right? So therefore, that is the question. How do you deal with this particular question? So some broad understanding is required. First, or a future year question can be there to answer this question. A future year question, FYQ, future year question. है ना? Everyone talks about PYQ, we talk about FYQ. है ना? औकात है तो FYQ बताओ, PYQ तो हर कोई बता सकता है, नहीं? है ना? आजकल तो AI में डाल दो, है ना? ठीक. तो एक फ्यूचर एक क्वेश्चन बनाया. Indian national movement was product of colonial policies. Full stop. Elaborate. है ना? तो colonial policies. So how to approach this particular question? This particular question is that when there are some, so colonial policies. First of all, what do you mean by colonial policies? It basically means the policies of the state. State is the organization that rules a territory and its people. So therefore, its policies. These policies, they can be positives. They can be positive policies or they can be negative policies. Right? Both are going to lead to INM. Right? Why? Because the positive policies, they will give us tools to fight the British. Right? For example, the Britishers started Western education. In the Western education, we studied about modern politics, that is separation of power, fundamental rights, DPSP, welfare state, republic, and therefore we were motivated that such kind of system should be present in India also, that people get right to vote and they elect their MP, MLA, these people. So ये सब पढ़ने के बाद we wanted these things to be in India, right? So therefore that is what is Indian national movement, that is desiring democracy in India, right? Press, that is press was introduced by the Britishers in India, newspapers, magazines. We would also have newspapers and magazines, right? So therefore he studied this separation of power, fundamental rights, constitutionalism, all of these things, and then he thought that he will write articles in the newspaper. When he wrote articles in the newspaper, then you who can read and write, you read this newspaper, right? Now your mind is also changed, right? Your mind is also changed because you could read and write. But there is a limitation. only those who can read and write, only they will be benefited by his ideas, right? And in 1921 census, it was revealed that 92% of the Indians were illiterate. That means it is only 8% of the population which will benefit from he writing in the newspaper. That's one of the negative of the moderates. Because moderates, they basically used pen. That is, their method is of writing, speaking, that's it. They do not go to the masses. And that's why at max, they can convert 8% of the population into nationalistic population, having modern political ideas. What about the rest of the 92%? तभी तो यूपीएससी ने क्वेश्चन पूछा, why moderates fail to carry conviction with respect to their ideology, because उस आर्टिकल में तुमने अपनी आइडियोलॉजी ही बताई थी, उस आर्टिकल में तुमने अपने गोल्स ही बताए थे, वो तो सिर्फ इन दोनों ने पढ़े, 92% ने तो नहीं पढ़े, है ना? तो वहाँ पे इशू आ गया that if you are not going to go to the masses, and if in common man's language you are not going to explain to them these complex things, then you will not be able to have support of the masses with you, right? You're not communicating with the masses, you're just simply armchair intellectual, right? But yes, press, western education was their policy. Third was positive policy of, हमारे लिए उसका एक positive byproduct है development of railways and telegraph network. So when railways is developed, so therefore people to people contact increases. So what do we do with people to people contact? We can do party also, है ना? What do you mean by people to people contact leading to INM? Right? Two aspects are there. One aspect is related to the common people, mango people, aam aadmi. Second aspect is related to leaders, because any movement is successful movement, any revolt is successful revolt when two people come together. A, the leader, B, the follower. Follower is aam aadmi, leader is elite aadmi. So let us talk about aam aadmi first, that how railways will improve this thing. So fine, because of railways you are able to travel from one place to another. You are traveled for your business, you are traveled for selling your grains, you are traveled for something else, right? You are traveled for रिश्ता करवाए थे ना तुम्हारा वहाँ, है ना? तुम लड़की देखने गए थे, है ना? ऐसा दिस काइंड ऑफ सिनेरियो, जो भी है, मल्टीपल रीजंस, है ना? तो इनकी फैमिली, एक्सटेंडेड फैमिली, चाचा जी माइग्रेट कर गए थे बहुत टाइम पहले, राइट? पहले मिलते नहीं थे, बट नाउ ही कैन ट्रैवल बाय रेलवेज, है ना? मल्टीपल थिंग्स आर देयर, है ना? पीपल टू पीपल कॉन्टैक्ट, भाई लोग अपने काम के लिए, पीपल फॉर देयर वर्क, दे ट्रैवल बाय रेलवेज, राइट? So gradually railways was first introduced in 1853. Gradually it started expanding, right? Telegraph, अब ये चिट्ठी लिखता है, लेटर, व्हाट्सएप तो अब आया है, हाँ, ये चिट्ठी लिखते हैं, है ना? टेलीग्राफ तो पीपल टू पीपल कॉन्टैक्ट बन रहा है, ठीक है ना? ऐसा तो उससे आईएनएम का क्या है? व्हाट अबाउट इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट? सो इंडियन, यू अंडरस्टैंड, do you understand what is a movement? Do you understand what is nation? Let's talk about nation. Nation is summation of people who feel one, right? So when you interact with other people from different backgrounds, you experience their, their way of life, right? So you like certain things, you dislike certain things, right? You're able to, ये अपना गया तो वहाँ पे उनसे मिलने था, है ना? But market चला गया, है ना? Market में he met someone, है ना? Made good friends with him, right? So he was not from his region, right? But मस्त बैठे उस दिन, है ना? हाले दिल क्या कि तुम्हारी भी हो रही, हमारी भी हो रही, कर क्या शादी, ऐसा, है ना? तो एक्सपीरियंस शेयर कर रहे हैं, भाई कैसा कैसा है ना? दिस काइंड ऑफ सिनेरियो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट्स से ऑल ऑफ यू हैव गैदर्ड इन सम मीटिंग, है ना? सम रिलीजियस सेक्ट वाज देयर, all of you are follower of that religious sect, because in those times people were deeply religious. Satsang or some other meeting of some other religion is going to take place here. I am your religious guru. You have gathered from different backgrounds. Why you have been able to gather? The railways, right? You are from different place. You are from which place? Tamil Nadu. You are from which place? Hyderabad. You are from which place? Kerala. You are from which place? All of four of you decided to go on a tea break after this session. You liked the people, You liked their thoughts, you became good friends, right? So now you are not just a Tamil first, you are not just a Keralite first, you are not just a Hyderabadi first, you are not just a Bihari first, right? You're gradually feeling, यार ये भी तो मेरे जैसे ही हैं, these are like me only, है ना? So therefore, you know, development of that oneness, है ना? So you know, बस ये थोड़ा सा difference था that you know, some मतलब commonalities are there, है ना? So you develop feeling of oneness, right? By making friends, by knowing that that other person who I used to think is very different is not very different, right? Just looks different, but thought matching is there, right? So therefore, people to people contact results in development of this feeling of oneness, right? Second aspect, elites. So if you talk about, for example, railways, right, or telegraph, so you are Madras leader, you are, let's say, Bengal leader, right? Earlier this was your mind, in your mind only one thing was there, kya? खेला होबे, only you are thinking about Bengal, है ना? खेला होबे ना भालो भालो, but now because you are elite person, you are trying to do something in politics, you got in touch with a person who is from Madras, right, who knows a great detail about problems and solutions of Madras, right, but does not know anything about Bengal, right? But you are trying to coordinate with each other, right? So therefore you start writing letters to each other, you share problems from Bengal with him, he shares problem of Madras with you, right? And maybe one day he traveled to Bengal, or maybe you travel to Madras. As a result, what happened? The transformation when railways and telegraph will be added. So therefore, as a result, what will happen? Now your mind is this. This is Bangla. This is Madras. This is Madras. This is Bangla. That means you are aware about problems and solutions which are required for both the regions. Therefore, ऐसे ही और people to people contact होगा, one day your mind will become India. Your mind will become India. That means in your mind, cognitively, you know about the problems of agriculture sector, you know about the problems of traders, you know about the problems of common people of all different parts of India. And therefore now you can claim that I think for India and I think for Indians, and now you can become an all India level leader. What is the difference between a regional leader and an all India level leader? A regional party and an all India level party? A regional party is like this. An all India party, all India leader is like this, right? That is, they are sensitive, they have empathy for problems of different parts of India. How that will take place? Only when you interact with different parts of India. How that will take place? Through railways, telegraph, right? So development of all India level leadership. But there was a time when there was no person like Mahatma Gandhi, he could say that I am all India level leader, and then there was a time that Mahatma Gandhi was there. Earlier there were regional leaders, gradually those regional leaders got elevated to all India level leaders, right? So therefore it does not matter for Indians that whether Mahatma Gandhi is Gujarati or Bengali, right? They say, bhai, he is our leader also, right? So therefore this is how all India level leadership develops. Therefore followers, they came together, leaders, they came together. The means of communication, the bridge was the telegraph and the railways, right? And they have similar ideas, because in the south also they were studying Western education, in the north also they were studying Western education, in the west, in the east also they were studying Western education, right? And in that particular sense, English can be a bridge language, because Macaulay's minute of 1835, that is education policy of 1835, said, now we are going to have Western education in English language. So therefore English in that particular sense played a positive role, that it broke the linguistic barrier, and now you are able to talk to him, you are able to talk to him about common problems and common solutions in the domain of politics, right? So therefore English was introduced by the British, Western education was introduced by the British, railways, post, telegraph network was introduced by the British. So these are positive things by the British, or these are the positive byproducts of these positives by the of these policies by the British, which contribute to INM. Right? So you got your vocabulary, that you're talking about fundamental rights. This vocabulary you are getting from Western education, right? So all of these things you are getting from Western education. Negative policies. Negative policies are very, very important. Why? Because you are from Tamil Nadu. Favorite hero Rajnikant. So hero is as big as villain. Weaker the villain, weaker the hero. Stronger the villain, stronger the hero. Right? If villain is only ladki ke father, if then it is not, hero is not that fine chocolatey image, है ना, not very ऐसा झुकेगा नहीं type feel नहीं आती फिर उसमें, है ना. But when the villain is very, very strong villain, है ना, very, very oppressive kind of a villain, then the janta says, as soon as Rajni comes on the screen, right, so therefore people, they get up from their chair and they say Thalaiva. So this kind of scenario, stronger the villain, stronger the hero. Always remember. So therefore the negative policies of the British, they contributed much more to the INM. The positive policies, they contributed relatively less to the INM. Right? Because this leads to anger. And anger is greater energy in that sense. Right? So therefore, what were the negative policies? Negative policies were basically what you call as their racism and authoritarianism. How racism and authoritarianism? Because after 1857 revolt, the Britishers, they became very racist. They said dogs and Indians are not allowed. Plus they became very authoritarian. That is, they said we will not allow Indians any share in power in the state. Right? So therefore that generated huge amount of anger. Because when you were preparing for Western education, when you were studying Western education, your dream was one day you will have power in the state. I will become IAS, IPS, maybe I will become a judge, maybe I will become a MLA MP one day if the Britishers, they bring democracy, right? But if the Britishers are authoritarian, that is if they say that we don't want any Indians in any senior positions in the state, that is the organization that rules the territory, so your dreams are crushed. Right? So therefore, you will have anger inside you, and now you will use your UPSC preparation to target the colonial state. You will say, I studied about democracy. Why there is no democracy in India? I studied about republic system. Why there is no republic in India? I studied about fundamental rights. Why there is no fundamental rights in India? Right? So therefore, you are going to use. This happens in today's time also. Some of the people who are not able to qualify UPSC after, let's say, 6 attempts, they become NGO leader, and they take revenge with bureaucrats by filing RTI पे RTI पे RTI. उनका जिंदगी का मकसद ये बन जाता है, ये बन गया, मैं नहीं बन पाया कैसे, है ना, ऐसा है ना. This kind of scenario happens, है ना. जैसे आजकल एक वो केस भी चल रहा है, खैर चलो छोड़ो, ठीक ठीक है ना. खैर किसी ने किसी के सर पे फोड़ दिया कुछ नौकरी जो भी है छोड़ो, है ना. मतलब दिस काइंड ऑफ इशू आल्सो हैपेंस. खैर INM वाज प्रोडक्ट ऑफ colonial policies, वेस्टर्न हायर एजुकेशन, ठीक है. हाउएवर इसमें भी एक नेगेटिव था, एंड दिस स्टेटमेंट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, दैट इज uneven growth of western education led to uneven growth of INM. This basically means this kind of scenario was there with respect to western education, that if this is the level of western education, if this is the level of western education, western educated middle class, right, you people are western educated middle class, or strength of INM is on the y-axis, right, and x-axis are the regions, then let's choose some basic minimum, right. The maximum amount of western education was there in Calcutta city. The next was Bombay city, the next was Madras city, and this is rest of India. Therefore, most of the people like you who are charged by modern nationalism, most of the leaders of the Indian national movement, they came from Bengali origin or Marathi origin or Tamil origin, right? And because the education was costly, therefore, they were mostly the rich or sons of the rich people of the society. And by chance, there was a correlation that those who were rich were also upper caste. I'm not saying that all upper caste were rich, but I'm saying those who were rich, high chances are there that they must be from upper caste. As a result, it is upper caste, Bangla speakers, Marathi speakers, Tamil speakers of M, B, C, Madras city, पूरा province भी नहीं, Madras city, not whole Bengal province, only Calcutta city, not whole Bombay presidency, only Bombay city, Madras, Bombay, Calcutta. That's why most of your leaders are from these backgrounds. Surendranath Banerjee, C.R. Das, है ना ऐसा. सोशल रिफॉर्म्स में भी ये देखते हो आप, राजा राम मोहन रॉय, है ना ऐसा. तो इस तरीके से मतलब चीज़ रहा. तो सोशल रिफॉर्म्स आर ऑल्सो डोमिनेटेड बाय पीपल फ्रॉम दीज बैकग्राउंड्स, राइट. एंड इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट वाज आल्सो डोमिनेटेड बाय दीज बैकग्राउंड्स. लीडर भी यहीं से थे, फॉलोअर भी यहीं से थे. What about the rest of India? They are untouched by Western education. Therefore, they are untouched by modern politics, modern polity, right? So therefore, that is the negative which is there. That is also another reason why moderates fail to carry conviction with respect to their ideology and political goals. Because the rest of the people of India, people of UP, people of Bihar, people of Karnataka region, all of this, they are not, they are untouched by these fundamental rights like vocabulary, separation of power like vocabulary, because Western education was very slow to grow there, right? तो तुम कहना भी अगर चाहते हो तो समझ नहीं पाते, है ना, बताना भी नहीं आता, छुपाना भी नहीं आता, है ना. ऐसा इस काइंड ऑफ सिचुएशन हो रखी है ना. दे डोंट नो हाउ टू रीड, राइट एंड ऑल ऑफ दिस, है ना. मतलब इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज, वर्नाकुलर्स दे मे नो, राइट, बट इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज. सो दैट इज अ प्रॉब्लम, ठीक है ना. तो दैट बिकम्स, दिस बिकम अ सिस्टमिक प्रॉब्लम. इसके लिए मॉडरेट जिम्मेदार नहीं है. मॉडरेट्स आर नॉट टू ब्लेम, but this is an inability for the moderates. That's why they will not be able to carry out their conviction, but they will not be able to convince the masses towards their ideology and towards their goals, right? So these are fundamental building blocks which are required to be understood before summarizing the answer into 150 words. Without understanding these things, you will not be able to, without going into the details, you will not be able to summarize, right? So that is one aspect. Press, we have discussed. Railway and telegraph, this is villain, that is British racism and authoritarianism. So one is Lex Loci Act, right? This act basically was opposed by Western educated middle class people also. This act basically said that even those who have converted from religion A to religion B, then after conversion also they will have right of inheritance in their parents' property. So basically, since 1813, the Britishers, they wanted to do conversions in India, that is Christianize India, right? And many of the times, for example, they are receiving this feedback that when we feel that we have nearly convinced a person to convert to Christianity from Islam or from Hinduism, the person says ki sorry, I will not convert because then I will not have right of inheritance. That is, my parents' property will not be given to me, right? Because property distribution used to happen as per the religious laws of each community, which you call personal laws. आपने सुना होगा Muslim personal law board, Hindu personal law, right? These are religious laws of each community. So therefore, to remove this disability, that is this religious disability, and at times they were not able to differentiate between religion and caste, they brought a law that is state is misusing its power of legislation, right, to promote convergence to Christianity, right? So therefore, this law is passed despite opposition. So that is one thing. Black Acts, Indians did not call them Black Acts. This is very simple. This the name Black Acts is given by the name Black Acts is given by those Britishers who are living in India, who basically do not want to be, who do not want this law to be coming. This law simply said that in the Madras city, Bombay city, Calcutta city, the court cases at district level, which are civil cases, not criminal, civil cases, and where some Firangi is involved in India, there a qualified judge who is Indian by race can also be judge, right? जैसे ये खबर मिली, all the Firangis who are living in India, they became red tomato, right? Why? Because racism. How an inferior race is going to decide my fate, that what is right and what is wrong? An Indian will decide my justice. So much amount of opposition was there by the Firangis living in India that this act had to be temporarily suspended. And he was watching all of this. He is Western educated, middle class Indian. And therefore, उस दिन इसकी आंख से एक आंसू आया, tear, because he felt hurt by racism. That we Western educated middle class Indians, we have proven our merit, we have topped the exams also, we are recruited as judges. But just because I am brown, therefore I am not treated at par. Right? This will lead to anger in his heart. Right? Which will contribute to INM. Then in 1860s and 70s, famines took place in different parts of India. Right? In Madras, have you heard about Great Madras famine? No. That is how our people, our so-called professors, our so-called history writers, our so-called school system, education system teaches us history. That a person from Madras does not know about Great Madras famine. Why? Because Palestinian lives matter, Jewish lives matter, Indian lives, we are 150 crore. 1 crore इधर उधर निकल जाते हैं. That's the elite attitude. 1.6 crore Madrasi Indians died in Great Madras famine of 1876. और वहाँ 5 फिलिस्तीनी मर गए, 4 जू टंग गए, और तू यहाँ रो रहा है, सोशल मीडिया पे लिख रहा है. आज कीबोर्ड टूट जाएगा भाई, धीरे टाइप कर, ट्वीट पे ट्वीट, ट्वीट पे ट्वीट, रीट्वीट पे रीट्वीट चल रहा है ना. बिकॉज हैश इंडियन लाइव्स डोंट मैटर, because only power matters. So till the point of time there is oil in the Middle East, Palestinian lives in matter, right? And till the point of time, Israel is very important for the superpower US, for its geopolitical interest. So therefore, Jewish lives matter. Till the point of time Jews will control the economy of US, Jewish lives will matter. It is power matters. Black lives matter, but only where you are US citizen. Black lives don't matter in Africa. Why? Power matters. Otherwise, black people are, oppressed in Africa. Khair, jo bhi hai. 1.6 crore Indians, right? So in whole 1860s and 70s, there were famines in different parts of India, right? Had there been our government, had there been Swaraj, then the government would have done something for the people. But look at the attitude of the government, that they have time and energy to, in fact, bring a new tax called income tax, right? So for those of you whose second choice is going to be IRS income tax, right? So therefore, what is the foundation year of IRS income tax? Because in income tax celebrated in 2018, they celebrated their, some anniversary, 150 or 200, jo bhi anniversary वगैरह, 1868, right? And all of you wrote editorials, articles, Western educated middle class, but still this act was brought. This brought anger into you. And therefore, you people raised the slogan of no taxation without representation. No taxation without representation means that taxation with representation means that our elected members of parliament, they decide what will be our taxes. Taxation with representation is done every year whenever budget is passed. And therefore, you raise the slogan, no taxation without representation. By the way, no taxation without representation is the foundation of modern democracy. English Civil War 1642-51, French Revolution 1789, American Revolution 1765-83 all began because the state decided to apply tax without the consent of people. Right? I have a hunch that that is what is so special about budget, that if budget fails, it is considered no confidence motion, whereas any other kind of law can fail, it is not considered no confidence motion in polity. What is so special about budget? From history perspective, I feel that because it is the foundation of democracy, that is why such a important thing it is given to budget, that if budget will fail, then it is no confidence motion. Right? So khair, we also gave slogan of no taxation without representation, but our method was pen. Right? French Revolution method was weapon. American Revolution, that English Civil War, King Charles I was beheaded. Our method was only moderate method. Huh? So ऐसा 1870, right? By 1870, the Britishers they started realizing that now the Western education, it is not creating what you call as brown sahibs, who are brown from outside and British from inside. Your bro, sup. So Western education is no more creating brown sahibs. They are just now gradually creating nationalistic Indians, right? Because apna time aayega, kab aayega? Since 1835, we are being told by the Britishers that Britain is great and one day India will also be great. The way British economy is industrialized, one day India will also be industrialized. The way the British political system is supreme, the same way gradually some kind of democratic reforms will also be brought in India, right? Ab 35 saal ho gaye, kab aayega? So therefore you people started questioning, right? You people started using the tools which have been provided by the Western education and you started criticizing the British. So therefore now the Britishers, they are saying here, in 1870 they are decreasing the expenditure on higher education. The word higher is very important here because it is in college that you develop political thought, not in school. School में तो ये flames काट रहा था. College में political thoughts begin. So therefore focus on higher education. So primary education, secondary education is not a political threat to the British. It is the higher education. And Curzon, 1899-1905, he famously said that universities are factories of sedition. That means double proof, right? So therefore 1870 mein hi, they had started getting to know, 1878 mein they took away your arms. That means iske 8 saal baad, right? They are taking away your arms by bringing Arms Act 1878. If you are an Indian, you need to have a license to have arms. Bearing arms is a fundamental right, by the way. Mahatma Gandhi was against a fundamental right in that sense. He also supported abolition of Arms Act 1878. Right? So Mahatma Gandhi was also in favor of abolishment of Arms Act 1878. In America, why there is gun culture? Because right to bear arms is a fundamental right. Why? Because right to bear arms is the right to self-defense, not right to violence. And right to preserve your life is also a fundamental right. Right? Khair, in 1878 they took away your arms. Right? So gradually this fear was developing. This shows me strength of Indian national movement. That Indian national movement which began in 1857, by 1870s it is gradually becoming more and more strong, and evidence is given by the British negative policies like reducing expenditure on higher education, right? Then British racism, it also increased cultural nationalism. By Swami Dayanand Saraswati set up Arya Samaj in which year? 1875. Swami Vivekananda was active in which year? 1880s, 1890s. 1893 Parliament of Chicago, well, Parliament of Religion in Chicago, US, he went, right? So Bankim is writing Anand Math, where he gave the slogan of the idea of Bharat Mata, and he composed Bande Matram. Which year? Anand Math, 1882. Right? These are all evidences that how what started in 1857 is gradually uska rang jo hai gaadha hota ja raha hai. Right? It is becoming stronger. INM. Right? So therefore that is what is happening. The racism, when they said dogs and Indians are not allowed, so therefore we felt an anger. Right? Cultural nationalism. Lytton, 1876-80, right? He is also villain, right? So ethical dilemma, should I, as an Indian, should I want him in history or not? Because stronger the villain, stronger the INM, but stronger the villain, then more atrocities on the people of that generation which lived during the time period of villain. ऐसा खैर 1876 पहला अटैक तो तुम्हारे ऊपर ही किया इसने. Why? Because bureaucracy is also part of the state, and he is an authoritarian person. He does not want Indians in any senior positions, right? So therefore reduce the age limit. Then next what he is doing, he brought something lateral entry लेके आया, but gave job only to loyalist Indians. 1877-1880, The Western educated middle class continuously wrote editorials, articles that please have Indians as IAS officers, please have Indians as IAS officers. But the Britishers, they did not pay any heed. Right? Why? Because he is authoritarian. He does not care what you are speaking. That will lead to anger. That will lead to INM. 1860s and 70s, famines are taking place in different parts. Just 1 year earlier, 1.6 crore Madrasi Indians are dying, and they have time and money to celebrate Republic Day like function, whereby it will be what you call as Queen Victoria, who will be getting corona in Delhi, coronated. हो जाता कोरोना, मर जाती वहां पे, भगवान करता है, coronated, she got coronated, Tajpushi, right? So huge amount of expenditure is taking place. That money could have been used to do some human relief work or not. That will lead to anger in you people. That what is this? So ऐसा. 1878 Vernacular Press Act. Those of you who were vernacular press writers, right? Those of you who were vernacular press owners who used to write in Indian languages, right? So therefore, you people used to, when you used to write, you gradually became more and more aggressive. Now, vernacular press will be read by a more number of people compared to the English newspapers. So it is more dangerous for the British if nationalistic articles are being written in vernacular press. So therefore, they did a financial surgical strike on vernacular press. If you are owner of vernacular press, to operate, there is a condition. You need to deposit some safety money to the government. And if the government feels that at any point of time you published anything which is anti-British, then that money will be forfeited. And to operate the next day, you again have to deposit that much amount of money. So it is a financial attack on press. This is a financial attack on press. That is the beauty of Vernacular Press Act. Otherwise, usually people think that vernacular press simply bol diya that freedom of press is curtailed. How? There are different ways to curtail freedom of press. Financial attack, right? Vernacular Press Act. Massive press campaign happened. Massive press campaign happened against the Vernacular Press Act. In which newspapers? Massive press campaign will happen against Vernacular Press Act. English, obviously, but not so obvious. No, not everyone is able to think like that. So very good. The act applies only on non-English newspapers. So therefore, massive press campaign will take place against this policy of British. In which newspapers? English newspapers. Because English, vernacular press mein, if you write down anything anti-British, that is if you criticize Vernacular Press Act in a vernacular newspaper, then your freedom of press is gone. That money will be forfeited, right? Tala lag jayega. But in the English press, if you write down, if you criticize Vernacular Press Act, then you will be allowed to function. That is why Amrita Bazar Patrika, which was earlier Bangla newspaper, overnight converted into English to evade the attack by the Vernacular Press Act, right? Yes, Arms Act. So Indians, they require a license. ऐसा, ठीक? तो there was a culture in India that we will have, weapons, right? घर पे होते थे सबके, ठीक? ऐसा. तो Bipin Chandpal, he began press campaign against this, right? तो खैर ये है. तो usually one thinks that Bipin Chandpal is an extremist. So books they simply mention Bipin Chandpal began campaign. So therefore a confusion. Therefore you do some research, and therefore you find out that no, it was also a press campaign only. It was not like people's protest. People protest for the first time took place in 1905. Second Anglo-Afghan War, right? It is famously known as Lytton's Afghan adventure. What is adventure? Adventure is something which is unnecessary, avoidable. So there was no actual real threat that Russia will attack India via Afghanistan. But still, to have a puppet government in Afghanistan, Lytton started this war against the present government of Afghanistan, right? To have their puppet in power. ठीक है? तो कोई ज़रूरत नहीं थी. So this money could have been used for relief efforts with respect to famines. Ripon is a good person. Ripon is there from 1880 to 84. He is a good person, right? So why we have added him to authoritarian and racism? Because Ripon is good person, and when he tries to do good things, the rest of the British officers who are stationed in India, the way they oppose him, that again brings anger and tear in his eyes. He now sees the contrast that it is only Ripon who is good. Otherwise, largely all of these British system etc. it is racist and authoritarian in nature. Right? इसमें दो तीन key चीजें हैं. Right? For example, he ended Vernacular Press Act in 1882. Arms Act में he said that everyone will require license. Earlier only Indians were required license. Now even Firangis will require license. Those Firangis who are living in India, they would require license to bear arms. He increased the age limit, right? He gave this proposal that exams should be allowed to be conducted in India, UPSC exam, right? But that proposal he could not pass because rest of the British officers, rest of the governors, etc., they opposed him. He is famous for two things. One is called 1882 Local Self-Government Resolution, right? That means at the panchayat level, at the district panchayat level, and at the municipality level, he brought the democracy, right? That is, elections will take place. Enough funds will be available with the municipalities and the district boards so that they can do the basic work of primary education, primary health, sanitation, koi choti moti gali banni hai, this kind of small work it can do. So it's called father of local self-government, not father of local government. Local government will be there even in the ancient times because work is always required to be done at the local level. He's father of local self-government. Self-government means democracy, right? So he brought democracy at the third tier. Center, province, third tier. He brought democracy at third tier. Second thing that he is famous for is Ilbert Bill. So he brought a bill, Ilbert Bill. Ilbert Bill was very similar to the Black Acts of 1850. Ilbert Bill simply said that from now on, a court case where a Firangi is involved, be it presidency towns, be it rural areas, a qualified judge who is Indian can also be the judge in that case. जैसा ही ऐसे सुनाई दिया अंग्रेजों को, जो अंग्रेज यहाँ रह रहे थे, the Firangis were living here, right? They became red tomato, right? They started writing. They also had newspapers in India. They started writing, strong editorials, articles against Ilbert Bill. तुम भी चुप नहीं रहे. You also countered. You wrote very strong editorials in favor of Ilbert Bill, right? ऐसा war is taking place.
UPSC Prelims is not just the first step in your civil services examination journey. It is also an opportunity to form a strong foundation for all stages of the examination. What you study today will help you accomplish results tomorrow. Be it syllabus, time management, revision or expert guidance, effective preparation is an amalgamation of all this and much more. Walk in the footsteps of UPSC toppers and pave the way for your UPSC Prelims success with the Laksha Prelims Mentoring Program 2025, starting from 11th January. This well-thought program is curated to offer a balanced study approach with personalized mentoring from experts, offering benefits such as strategic plan for revision and practice for GS, CSAT and current affairs, continuous performance assessment and feedback, personalized mentoring from highly experienced and qualified mentors, dedicated support, motivation and technological assistance, smart and efficient preparation strategy, access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus high quality questions, along with access to Laksha Prelims practice tests. Enroll today and conquer UPSC Prelims 2025 heads-on with structured guidance and mentoring. Looking for strong revision, innovative curriculum and dedicated mentoring for the General Studies paper of UPSC Prelims 2025? With only a few months left for the prelims exam, does the lack of mentoring, robust syllabus and absence of revision strategy make you anxious? Vision IS has the perfect solution for you. Join the Fast Track Course 2025, covering every aspect of students' preparation, including coverage of GS Prelims syllabus, dedicated mentoring and guidance for performance maximization, regular practice with sectional mini tests, access to PT 365 for current affairs preparation, performance assessment and feedback. Available both offline and online. Choose the program mode as per your convenience and excel in GS Prelims with high scores. Admission to the course now open. With UPSC Prelims 2025 knocking at your doorstep, are you feeling the jitters? Is the vast syllabus making you anxious, and are you struggling to use these last months effectively to revise and brush up your knowledge? Stay calm and take charge of your preparation. Utilize these last months effectively to revise each subject thoroughly with the quick revision classes for General Studies Prelims 2025 starting on 5th February at 1 p.m. These classes offer comprehensive coverage of key subjects and topics for quick revision. Seize the opportunity and stand out in UPSC Prelims with targeted documents like the Quick Revision module. Commence your quick revision classes for features including thematic coverage of GS syllabus, coverage of core subjects like polity, economy and more, personalized one-on-one mentoring support, comprehensive and updated quick revision module, integrated assessment and feedback. In these last crucial months, act wisely and choose the smart revision strategy to excel in UPSC Prelims.
Pen war. It is all pen, right? And if there was any doubt in your mind that the Britishers are not racist, this was removed here, right? And ultimately you were sad because the government was forced, So imagine, in 1911, there were 31 crore Indians and there were just 1.4 lakh Britishers in India, right? Out of these 1.4 lakh, the civilian population must be 60-70,000 or whatever, right? This many number of people are able to force the government to do what they want. Why? Because this Ilbert bill had to be withdrawn and amended, and now they said that in a case which involves a Firangi, that is a Britisher in India, trial will take place by mixed jury. You understand what is trial by jury? Trial by jury is where a group of people decide whether the person is guilty or not guilty. So like 10-12 people, watching the trial, they decide who is guilty, who is not guilty. Mixed jury means 50% of those people can be Indians and 50% of those people can be Firangis. That means they are basically saying, we will not give the fate, will not hand over the fate of a Firangi person in any matter, criminal or civil, purely in the hands of Indians, right? It has to be trial by jury, and that also a mixed jury, right? So therefore that was a compromise. But that day you realized that despite having all the qualification, you will never be treated at par with the white skin. And that generated huge amount of anger in you, right? Yes, so khair, ye sab propaganda chal raha hai, right? We also set up certain what you call as organizations, right? Pune Sarvajnik Sabha, these are regional organizations. Pune Sarvajnik Sabha was set up in 1870 in Maharashtra. Bengal mein tha, it was Indian Association. Similarly, Lahore Indian Association for Punjab, and Madras Mahajan Sabha was there for Madras region, right? So therefore we can say that 1870 onwards, we began an organized Indian national movement because we set up these organizations, right? And anything which is done in an organized manner, the chances of success are better. ठीक है सब, तो इस तरीके से ये सब चीज़ें हुई, ठीक है ना? अभी क्या टाइम हो गया? 5:55, ठीक है. तो now we come towards this concept of what you call as ब्रेक. अभी चाहिए 5 बजे स्टार्ट किया ना, 6:30 बजे मिलेगा ब्रेक, तो 6:15. स्वराज. So first of all, what is the meaning of the word Swaraj? So इसको ऐसे मैंने codify किया हुआ है. It basically means this, that how do you define sovereignty, right? So sovereignty can be thought of as this: symbolic sovereignty, which today it is with President of India, and then you have power to do LEJ. LEJ, you remember? Legislature, executive, judiciary. That is power to make laws, power to implement them, and power to adjudicate any disputes which arise. ये चल रहा है क्या? तभी तो इतनी गर्मी हो रखी है. ये तो बंद कर, हीटर तो बंद कर, बाद में एसी चलेगा, पहले माइनस से जीरो पे आओ, जीरो से प्लस पे जाओ. Power to do LEJ in external sovereign functions. In external sovereign functions. And in domestic sovereign functions. And in domestic sovereign functions. What do you mean by external sovereign functions? They are basically DCFA. Defense, Communication, Foreign Affairs, right? And domestic sovereign functions are rest, right? Majorly home, finance, local infrastructure, right? So all of our services are organized on the basis of these. Similarly, our 7th schedule of the Constitution of India is also organized on the basis of this. These are the subjects or the sovereign functions, right? So for example, IPS is about home, right? IRS is about finance, right? So IAS is about administration. So ministries are also organized as per the sovereign function. Minister of Defense, Minister of External Affairs, right? Minister of Home Affairs, Minister of Finance, Minister of Health, Minister of Education, Minister of Agriculture, right? These are all sovereign subjects, right? So when you talk, in fact, when you talk about federalism, it is these subjects which are divided. They are always with the center. Federalism always applies on the domestic sovereign function. Concept of federalism, it is not applicable on external sovereign functions, right? So even when Article 370 was there for J&K, external sovereign functions were with the central government, Union Government of India. It was not, it was the domestic sovereign functions which were with J&K, right? So, anyways, come back to the topic of discussion. This is how you define symbolic sovereignty. External sovereign functions, domestic sovereign functions, this is what your sovereignty is, right? So what do you mean by Swaraj? In the word Swaraj, the Swa means we the people, right? मतलब स्व में we the people. Raj means rule, right? What is rule? What is rule? Rule is power to do LEJ. And usually the word rule, it relates to domestic sovereign functions. So whenever you read modern history books, it will be written that a princely state who signed subordinate alliance, their military was replaced by the British. External sovereign functions, external affairs were with the British. However, rule was of Indian prince. So therefore, traditionally, the way you use the word rule, you use the word rule for inside your borders, right? So therefore, usually the word rule is used because you rule your people and people are inside your border. This is for the world. Defense is for the world. Diplomacy is for the world. So therefore, you rule your people. So that's why the word rule is usually related to domestic sovereign functions. That is home, finance, this kind of scenario. माने कि सारे मंत्री apart from राजनाथ सिंह जी, जयशंकर जी, right? बाकी सारे जो ministers हैं, they are basically engaged in ruling. ठीक है? ऐसा. Now, Swaraj, that means people will choose their representatives who will do LEJ, right? Maybe in judiciary we can have meritocracy, that is no elections, etc. Maybe in bureaucracy we can have meritocracy, but otherwise elections are going to be there, right? So that is Swaraj, right? When all three of them are with us, then it is called Purn Swaraj. When all three of them are with us, that is called Purn Swaraj, right? तो इसको एक काम करते हैं, कुछ ऐसा हम बना सकते हैं. ऐसा बना लेते हैं, ठीक है? So when this is with Indian, when this is with Indian, when this is with Indian, and power to make Constitution of India is also with Indian. This is known as Purn Swaraj. Thick. What do you mean by dominion status? Right? It is said that on 15th of August we got dominion status. In dominion status, the symbolic sovereignty is of British. Right? Power to make Constitution of India, it is with the British. Right? And external sovereign functions, they are with the British. But domestic sovereign functions are 100% with Indians. That is called dominion status. That's why the statement is actually technically incorrect that on 15th of August 1947 we got dominion status. We did not get dominion status, we got special dominion status, and the reason for that was it was a result of negotiations. We wanted Purn Swaraj, this, Britishers wanted this, how to find a middle path. On 15th of August, what did we get? We'll write that down later. On 15th of August, only symbolic sovereignty was with British. This was with Indians. This was with Indians. This was also with Indians. Right? So therefore, that's why we had a Constituent Assembly which drafted a constitution. And that Constituent Assembly had the power to take away this also, which we took on 26th of January 1950. That's why you enjoyed 2 holidays, 15th of August and 26th of January. ठीक, we got special dominion status. We did not get dominion status. We got special dominion status. ये किताबें ऐसे ही बेवकूफ बनाती हैं. Indian National Congress was not all India organization in 1885. Indian National Congress was all British India organization in 1885. The people of the princely states, that is 37% of territory of India and 22% of population of India, they were not allowed to become member also. It was during the time period of Mahatma Gandhi in 1920 that they were allowed to become member. So one can say that Mahatma Gandhi converted Indian National Congress from all British India organization to all India organization. In 1885 it was not all India organization. And Mahatma Gandhi ने भी उनको बोला that वेखी जान छेड़ी ना, meaning you can become member but you cannot launch a movement in the name of INC. It was during the time period of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose as president of INC in Tripuri session of 1939 that it was declared that in any next movement of Indian National Congress, people of princely states will also participate. That's how Quit India Movement 1942 was the first movement where whole of India participated. Otherwise, in Civil Disobedience Movement 1930-34, in Non-Cooperation Movement 1920-22, in the Swadeshi Movement 1905-11, whole of India did not participate. It was only for British India. That is what you call as 63% of territory of India and 78% of population of India. That's British India. Okay. This is dominion status. Then what do you mean by Swaraj? Right? Or specifically, what do you mean by Swaraj within the British Raj? Or self-government within the British Empire? In that case, symbolic sovereignty is with the British. Power to make Constitution of India is with the British. External sovereign functions, domestic sovereign functions, external sovereign functions are with the British. Domestic sovereign functions, they are significantly with Indians. Significantly with Indians means I can say 70% to 100% with Indians. As soon as it will become 100%, it will become dominion status. So dominion status is a form of self-government within empire, or dominion status is a form of Swaraj. Significantly with Indians. That's the meaning of the word Swaraj, right? Then there is concept of limited Swaraj, limited self-government, which was the goal of moderates, right? So there, what do we mean? So symbolic sovereignty will be with the British, Constitution of India will be made by the British, external sovereign functions will be with the British, and in the domestic sovereign functions, 50-50 partnership. This 50-50 partnership can take place in different format. Maybe 50% ministers should be Indians, 50% lawmakers should be Indians, 50% judges should be Indian, 50% bureaucrats should be Indian, 50% military generals should be Indian. ऐसा clear 50-50 divide कर लो. Or some other formula can be there. Legislature majorly with Indians, mantri all Firangi, bureaucrats, that is civil servants, mostly Indians. There can be different kind of permutation combination. How do you want to share power in the state? State is the organization that rules the territory and the people, right? So LEJ, that is your state, legislature, executive, judiciary, right? So aisa. So this is your different forms of Swaraj. This is what you call as Purn Swaraj. This is called dominion status. This is known as Swaraj or self-government within empire. This is known as limited self-government or limited Swaraj. Right? This is the different forms of Swaraj. This was goal of Congress from 1885 until 1906. This was goal of Congress from 1906 until 1928. This was the goal of Congress from 1928 till 1929. This was the goal of Congress from 1929 onwards. Right? So you see, this is how Indian national movement was a movement, not a revolution. Why? Because we had a gradual approach. Right? We are demanding, right away we are not demanding Purna Swaraj. First we are demanding this, then we are demanding this, then we are demanding this. This is called as gradualist approach. Right? So hole. Right? Aisa. So therefore that is the meaning of the word Swaraj. But what does Swaraj mean for the common man? Common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister. Common man wants three securities: economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. And if possible, Bhagwan tumhara bhala kare, opportunity. That is basic minimum. Utna de do bhai. Aur bahut hi acha that if you are able to give us opportunity. Right? So common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister. Common man wants three securities: economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. You can add psychological security also. Right? Aisa. So the British rule, when it started hurting these three basic securities, right? And it is then that the common man came out on the streets. Right? So therefore aisa. So what does Swaraj means for the common man? Arey, Jawaharlal Nehru ji got Swaraj in 1946 itself. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel got Swaraj in 1946 or 1947 itself when we became Home Minister. Because what is Swaraj for a politician? Political power over state. Swaraj means different thing for different person. What is Swaraj for a worker of a factory? High wages, no extra hours of work, at least 1 or 2 days of holiday in a week, no child labor, social security, that is some form of health insurance, some form of accident insurance, some form of pension. If a worker is able to have that, then that is his Swaraj. Right? And isse thoda sa aur, that is, you ask a worker, what should be the design of this phone? You are the one who is making this iPhone in the factory. Right? That is some sort of decision making power also in the economic process of production. Oye, padupati. That is what Karl Marx wanted. Karl Marx wanted 100% economic power also and decision making power also with the worker. Right? So that is Swaraj for the working class. What is Swaraj for a Ryot? If the Ryot is a tenant, then please let me have occupancy rights, no illegal abverbs, no high rents, right? Right? No forced cultivation of indigo. That is his Swaraj. If Ryot, who is landowner, what is his Swaraj? No high land revenue. If I take loan from moneylender to pay land revenue, then no high interest rates by the moneylender. Please regulate the business of moneylender. Right? Please randomly do not take away my land if I am not able to pay land revenue. Please give me relief. If by chance there is some bad harvest, then please don't ask for this much land revenue. Kuch taras khao, ask for this much land revenue. Example, in Ryotwari, this feature was there that if there is bad harvest, then some remission, some decreased land revenue will be asked, not the total high amount. That is Swaraj for the common man. What is Swaraj for the ladies? For the females? जब पेट में हो तब मत मारो, पैदा होने दो. तो PCPNDT एक्ट ऐसा स्कूल जाने दो, राइट टू एजुकेशन फॉर लेडीज, जॉब करने दो, अर्ली मैरिज मत करो, चाइल्ड मैरिज मत करो, किसी बुढ़ऊ को मत चिपकाओ, मतलब हाई एज गैप ना हो, क्योंकि बीच में बुढ़ऊ टपक गया तो विडोहुड हो जाएगा, है ना? ठीक है ना? तो ऐसा सैडली अगर विडोहुड हो गया तो प्लीज इफ एवरीवन एग्रीज देन अलाउ विडो रिमैरिज. Please allow me to get good jobs. Let me go for higher education. Please allow me to be political leader also. ऐसा मत करो that I am the face of the election, but the real पंचायत person is my husband. है ना? I am just the photo. है ना? सरपंच is real सरपंच is husband, पंचपति. So therefore, their Swaraj is continuing till 2023, when reservation for ladies was brought in the parliament? So Swaraj for the common man is a continuous process. Swaraj for the common man is a continuous process, and Swaraj means different things for each section of the society. And with changing times, the problems change, therefore solutions also change. Right? So therefore Swaraj is a continuous process, and Swaraj was tried to be defined for the common man by men like Bhagat Singh. He said that political independence will not be enough. The real independence will come when economic oppression of the poor by the rich will not be there. He was a Marxist. Mahatma Gandhi said, we need real Swaraj will come when we will have stateless society. That is, no minister, no MP, no MLA, no judiciary, no military, no bureaucracy. Each 100% power with each individual. Enlightened anarchy. Stateless society. Right? So therefore, aisa. Mahatma Gandhi in 1930 gave 11-point demands. Books they say. Mahatma Gandhi defined what Swaraj means for common man. Exact sentence bata raha hu. Mahatma Gandhi defined what Swaraj means for common man. Why 11-point demands? Those demands are basically, at that point of time in 1930, how can you reduce the pain for the common man, for the worker, for the middle class, for the riot? Right? So therefore, Swaraj means different thing for the, so that's philosophical Swaraj. Right? So Swaraj as a concept of the state, power over the state with the people is one aspect. Swaraj, what does it mean for the common man? That is a separate aspect. Have you seen the movie Wednesday? Wednesday? Anyone has seen Wednesday? You have seen Wednesday? So common man does not want to be MLA, MP, minister, but common man wants economic security, socio-cultural security, and third one is physical security. Nasiruddin Shah in the movie Wednesday felt that he does not have physical security, therefore he revolted. कि मेरी बीवी बूढ़ी है, मैं सवेरे जाता हूँ काम पे, शाम को वापस आता हूँ, 50 फोन करती है मुझे. क्यों? क्योंकि ब्लास्ट्स हुए थे पीछे and police could not do anything. So psychological security is not with the wife, and the sense of physical security is also not there. That's why Nasiruddin Shah revolted in the movie Wednesday. That's why I say watch movies. Movies से बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है. खैर. So therefore that is the concept of Swaraj, and that is very, very important kind of a concept. Next concept that comes into operation is of methods. Method. So method के बारे में अगर discuss करेंगे, मतलब ये building tools हैं. उसके बाद we'll go on break after discussing this, and then we will criticize moderates, and our speed of moderates and extremists will increase actually if we know the basic tools, right? So when you talk about methods and methods of everyone, ठीक है ना? अच्छा, by the way, ठीक है, वो देख लेंगे. Methods of everyone. So one method is pen, right? Or one method is what you call as constitutional methods. Constitutional methods, right? Constitutional methods. I've crafted a very beautiful definition of constitutional methods, which is different from the books, but it is so awesome, right? That I fell in love with myself, right? And the definition is basically own language, right? But perfect. Plus pen. That is writing in the newspaper, right? Or using grievance redressal mechanisms as provided by the state. First of all, for that you need to know what is state. State is the organization that rules a territory and its people. So it is legislature, executive, judiciary. Executive is minister, that is prime minister and his ministers, and below them civil servants and military servants, right? So therefore, if you go and file FIR whenever you have any grievance, you are doing constitutional method, right? You're really unhappy with the police investigation, you file a court case, you're using judiciary, you're using a grievance redressal method provided by the state. That's constitutional method. You're really unhappy with the verdict and you say कि कानून ही गलत है, So you decide to fight elections, become MLA, so that one day you can change the law. Constitutional method. You're like, just by being lawmaker, things cannot change. Till the point of time, implementation will not be awesome. So either you decide to be civil servant, or you decide to be minister somehow. That is by getting majority after fighting elections. Constitutional methods. Beauty. Elections are taking place, you do not like any of the candidates. You feel the whole system, etc., whatever, all these politicians are, let's say, corrupt. गुस्सा है तू, गुस्सा है, स्माइल नहीं आ रही तेरे चेहरे पे, स्माइल हटा, क्यों हंस रहा है, स्माइल नहीं आ रही तेरे चेहरे पे, फिर हंस रहा है तू, स्माइल नहीं आ रही तेरे चेहरे पे, रोक ही नहीं पा रहा, चैलेंज करते तो स्माइल मुस्की है तो हाँ ठीक है, स्माइल नहीं आ रही चेहरे पे, गुस्सा है, डज नॉट, फिर हंसती, डज नॉट गो टू वोट, does not go to vote, right? That is extra constitutional method. That is extra constitutional method. Tabhi government of India, the state of India brought nota. Go to the polling booth and there you take nota, none of the above. Why? So as to provide such citizens of India who are unhappy with the present day politicians who are fighting in the election an option, a constitutional way, right, to express their grievance, right? So therefore not going to vote is not a constitutional method, nota is constitutional method. ये सबसे सटीक मेरे को लगता है example to clearly define difference between Mahatma Gandhi and moderates. Mahatma Gandhi's method are called extra constitutional non-violent methods. Mahatma Gandhi used to give call to people, don't go and vote, don't go to vote. ऐसा महात्मा गांधी कहते थे, है ना? मॉडरेट होगा, कहेगा गो वोट नोटा. दैट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन महात्मा गांधी एंड मॉडरेट. मॉडरेट नोटा, महात्मा गांधी डोंट गो टू वोट. Effect is same, but method is different. End is same, but means are different, right? So constitutional methods. Pen means you write editorials, articles, etc. Content also matter. The content should also be moderate. ऐसा नहीं किताब से लिख दिया I want that British should be blown up. Then you're not moderate, है ना? Your content should also be regarding such things only, right? Otherwise, Karl Marx is a revolutionary. You don't call him moderate, right? He wanted violent overthrow of capitalism, right? Care. Constitutional methods. Second method is like method of extremists. And what is the method of extremists? It is non-cooperation plus civil disobedience plus constructive work plus violence. If is very important. That means step number one is not violence. Violence if repression. Violence if repression. Right? So therefore, civil disobedience is very easy. That is, whenever you break any law, that is, when you do any illegal action, that is civil disobedience. Right? When you do illegal action, then it is civil disobedience, right? Constructive work is samaj seva, NGO-like activity. Go to the poor people, try to do skill upgradation, try to promote handicraft sector, try to bridge Hindu-Muslim divide, upper caste, lower caste divide, try to empower women, है ना? ऐसा anti-alcohol campaign, है ना? खादी को promote करना, ये सब NGO-like activity, right? ऐसा. Why this activity is important? Because politics is give and take. Why should common man bear lathis for you? You are Neta. If you are successful, you will become MLA, MP. I am common man. What will I get? Why should I come out on the streets for you? Raising slogan of Swaraj. MP tu bane dande mein khaun. You will become MP. I'll bear lathis. What is this? That's why in politics there is always give and take, right? So therefore, first you win the hearts of the people, right? And then the people will come to your support. First you do samaj seva. First you do NGO-like activity, work for economic empowerment of the poor, work for social empowerment of the poor. It is then that when these people they come to know आप election लड़ रहे हो, we'll vote for you, है ना? So therefore constructive work is a political activity but it has political benefits, है ना? So ऐसा this kind of scenario. Non-cooperation is a coin with two sides. One side is called boycott and second side is called Swadeshi. सिंपल है, बॉयकॉट होगा तो स्वदेशी होना ही पड़ेगा, राइट? बट देयर इज वन कंडीशन, कंडीशन इज must not be illegal. This condition is very important. Non-cooperation is always legal. You do not break any laws by doing non-cooperation, right? So ये condition है. For example, boycott and Swadeshi ये एक ही थाली के चट्टे बट्टे कैसे हैं? If you boycott British clothes, that does not mean you will stop wearing clothes. You will wear Indian clothes, Swadeshi. If you say I will boycott British products, दीपक जी आइए आइए, जब कम दाम में अंग्रेजी प्रोडक्ट मिले तो कोई स्वदेशी क्यों ले, अंग्रेजी ना ले. दीपिका इज लाइक ऐसा है, चुप कर जा. आई एम पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन स्वदेशी मूवमेंट, आई विल गो फॉर मेड इन इंडिया बाय इंडियंस. ये भी मस्त है. नहीं नहीं एक सेकेंड. स्टूडेंट कैन कंपेयर स्वदेशी विद मेक इन इंडिया कैंपेन. देयर इज स्मॉल डिफरेंस. Swadeshi is equal to what is the relationship between Make in India campaign of present government and the Swadeshi movement? Swadeshi movement in present day Make in India, we do not have any problem if Firangis they come to India, they do FDI and they make Tesla here, no problem. Right, so we are all open that if Elon Musk is ready to pay whatever taxes, whatever obligations are there, then yeah, fine, make in India. We are telling the world also to make in India. But Swadeshi was make in India and made by Indians. Right, so we are not in favor of British businessmen who have set up their factories in India. We don't want Indians to buy their products also. That's why in the Swadeshi movement, C.R. Das, Liaquat Hussain, Bipin Chandra Pal, they led strikes by the workers in the foreign-owned enterprises in India. That means any British factory which is there in Bengal, their workers are doing strike, right? So therefore both things are there, made by Indians and made in India, right? Well, of Indians, of India. Aisa, something like this, right? So that's the link with Make in India campaign. ठीक है ना? तो खैर ये है. And must not be illegal. And what do you do boycott of? चलो बड़ा मस्त फॉर्मूला दे रहा हूँ, खैर तुमको तो दे चुका हूँ, तो पढ़े हो, ठीक है. बॉयकॉट होता है इंस्टीट्यूशंस का. इंस्टीट्यूशंस होते हैं स्टेट के या होते हैं एजुकेशन के. दूसरा बॉयकॉट होता है गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज का. वी बीट द बुक्स. हाउ? बुक्स दे सिंपली से बॉयकॉट ऑफ गुड्स. अब तो जीएसटी आ गया ना, तो दिमाग चलाओ. बॉयकॉट ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. दैट मीन्स इफ देर इज अ फिरंगी बैंक इन इंडिया, आई विल नॉट ओपन माई बैंक अकाउंट इन दैट बैंक. आई विल नॉट टेक लोन फ्रॉम दैट बैंक, because then I'll be helping that bank earn interest on loan. I'll take loan from an Indian bank. Your Lala Lajpat Rai set up a Swadeshi bank in Punjab, which later on went on to become Punjab National Bank. Right? So, and banking is a service. Right? So it is not just about goods, it is also about services. Right? Yes, sir. Goods and services. State institutions are legislature, executive. Executive में two people are there, minister or servants. Servants means civil servants or military servants. And third is judiciary. Right? ऐसा. तो this is structure which is there. ठीक? Goods and services इसमें भी दो टाइप के हो सकते हैं. Made in India by British or imported into India. boycott British goods and services made in India or imported into India. ठीक, now one by one देखते हैं. In legislature, two people are there. A, the elected, B, the voter. ठीक, so therefore if boycott is taking place and if you are a voter, then you do not vote in elections. Candidates don't stand in elections. Those who are already MLA MP, they resign. Right? So therefore, don't vote in elections. That's your responsibility as common man. Don't stand in elections. That's the responsibility of big people. And resign if already you were a member. No law has been broken. No law has been broken. Executive may in minister, if you are already a minister, resign. Or imagine elections happened, your political party is able to get single party majority, but after that you say, moe moe. Kerry will not form government. You have caused a constitutional crisis. You have caused a constitutional crisis. Right? It's breakdown of constitutional machinery. Article 356 would have to be applied. Because those who have got the mandate to form the executive, they are not forming the government. Right? So therefore, don't become minister. Don't become minister. Right? Servants, if already civil servant, don't be, simply resign kar do. Or don't become civil servant. नहीं दे रहा भाई UPSC का एग्जाम. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, All India rank 4, resigned. Right? Don't become. Aurobindo Ghosh had qualified. Deliberately did not go to give horse riding test. They were doing non-cooperation. Judiciary, इसमें 3 होते हैं. Judge साहब, ठीक? तो judge साहब should not listen to cases. How? By resigning. Huh? So therefore, don't adjudicate cases. So imagine lawyers are present. Huh? In the gallery, people are also waiting. Client is also present. Judge साहब की chair is empty. कह रहे हम boycott कर रहे हैं. So judicial system will fail. Lawyer, that is, don't fight election. Don't fight cases. हाँ, तो imagine आप अपना केस लड़वाना चाह रहे हो और जिस भी लॉयर के पास कहते हो कह रहे हम नहीं लड़ रहे केस. Will not seek justice under British made law. Right? So therefore system will fail. Third, don't file cases. Judge Sahab is waiting, है ना? And lawyers are also there, है ना? And all of them are playing Ludo. Why? Because no one is filing cases now. You say ऐसा है, we'll do out of court settlement, but we will not seek justice by the laws made by the British. So therefore, in all of these 3 cases, without breaking of any law, judiciary has failed. Goods which are made in India and imported. Educational institutions, इसमें भी वही है. 2 लोग होते हैं, student and teacher. I will not teach colonial syllabus, or you do bunk, will not study colonial syllabus. Right? So therefore, don't teach colonial syllabus. Don't study colonial syllabus. This is how you can do boycott. These goods, right? So, for example, if those goods are made in India, then strikes by the workers, that is working class strikes. Imported goods में those who are dock workers, they can say, कहाँ से आया माल? Britain से. We will not unload. Strike. Or if the factory is in India, then the workers say, will not go on job. Right? So therefore strikes by the workers. Chalo, they have not gone on strike, no problem. Then comes, for example, domestic merchants. right? That is merchants, they say. Importers say नुकसान झेल लेंगे जी, पर गांधी जी ने कहा है कि civil disobedience movement is going on. We will not import British goods. I used to earn livelihood for my family by importing British goods and selling at a higher price. But in nationalism, I am saying that I am not going to import British goods. Right? So don't import British goods. Or if you're a domestic merchant, right? You say I will not circulate the British goods who are lying at the port into domestic market of India. Right? Merchants, they can play a role. Okay? Third aspect, shopkeeper. Shopkeeper says कि ऐसा है, Deepika ji, now on my shop only made in India by Indians products are available. आपको सामान लेना है लीजिए, नहीं तो जाइए. Right? That is shopkeepers. They say that will not sell British goods. No problem. Let's say shopkeeper is also selling British goods. Then you people are there. You people say that we will not buy British goods. I'll take something which is maybe more expensive, something maybe which is relatively less good in quality, but I'll buy Indian product. Right? ऐसा. Let's say they are also buying, तो कोई problem नहीं है. You people are there, कार्यकर्ताज, they stand in front of a shop selling British products and they are like this. Don't break any law. You cannot do any beating, shitting, है ना? But you're like, चला जा, देशद्रोही, है ना? ऐसा, this kind of scenario. हाँ, you are buying this product ना, अब देखियो, कल से कटेंगे तेरे बाल. We'll do your social boycott. Barbers will not cut your hair, right? No one will invite you to your functions, है ना? If you buy these Firangi products, है ना? So ऐसा picketing of shops, है ना? This kind of. So this is how you can do this thing. Now when you talk, this is boycott. When you talk about Swadeshi, in this particular case, Swadeshi is not applicable. If you set up your own judiciary or your own legislature, then it will be sedition. If you set up your own government, it will be sedition. So law cannot be broken in non-cooperation, so therefore Swadeshi is not applicable. But it is applicable here. Out of court settlement is accepted. Right? So panchayat हमने बुलाई, we settled our dispute, no problem. 10 people met, did arbitration, no problem. So here you are not breaking any law if you do out of court settlement. Huh? If you set up Swadeshi institutions, that is, I am setting up a school or a college, huh? And there I am going to teach physics, chemistry, maths, everything, but I am not going to teach such a syllabus which teaches colonial mentality. I want such students who are proud of India, proud engineers, proud doctors. So there also Swadeshi is applicable. Here also Swadeshi is applicable. For example, I set up my own factory, like Jamshedji Tata set up TISCO during Swadeshi movement. Lala Lajpat Rai set up that Swadeshi bank. Bal Gangadhar Tilak set up Swadeshi stores, such shops which will sell made in India by Indian products. So fine, there you are not breaking any law, भाई. तुम इंडिया का बस सामान ही तो बेच रहे हो, क्या हो गया? फैक्ट्री लगाना कोई एंटी लॉ काम थोड़ी है, right? So therefore, applicable, but in executive and legislature, not applicable, right? So therefore, आप कोई भी movement पढ़ लो, right? So therefore, always it will be there that don't vote in elections, but गांधी जी या कोई और कभी ये नहीं कहेगा, मतलब in non-cooperation, that you set up your own legislature. And गांधी जी तो खैर stateless society के favor में, they does not believe in legislature. Right? So therefore, this is the concept of non-cooperation, civil disobedience, constructive work, and constitutional methods. Last, after that, we'll go on break. So, phata poster nikla hero. Ab Mahatma Gandhi. So, what about Mahatma Gandhi's methods? Mahatma Gandhi has to be Mahatma, unique, right? तो ये ऐसे रास्ता निकाल ले गए, मतलब ये extremists हैं, ये moderates हैं, गांधी जी ऐसे आ गए, ऐसे यहाँ आ गए बीच में, ठीक है? तो क्या इनका मेथड है? इनका मेथड है बेसिकली अलग अलग तरीके से कह सकता हूँ मैं. एक तो एक्सट्रीमिस्ट एंड मॉडरेट्स बोथ आर प्रो स्टेट, whereas Mahatma Gandhi is anti-state. Moderate goal is capture legislature, executive, judiciary, capture bureaucracy, capture military. But which method? Pen. Same is the goal of executive, extremist. But with which method? People's protests, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, violence if necessary. Mahatma Gandhi is anti-state. That's why Mahatma Gandhi never fought elections. Stateless society. That is one clear difference between महात्मा गांधी एंड तो एक तो मतलब हम बात क्या कर सकते हैं गोल वाइज अगर एक देखा जाए तो गोल वाइज एक डिफरेंस है राइट ये जो आपके एक्सट्रीमिस्ट्स एंड मॉडरेट्स extremists and moderates, these people are pro-state, whereas Mahatma Gandhi is stateless society. That is one difference between Mahatma Gandhi and moderates and extremists on one side. ठीक है? With respect to goal, sorry, with respect to methods. So मेथड में एक फॉर्मूला सिंपल है NC प्लस CD प्लस CW प्लस NV प्लस स्पिरिचुअलिटी. ठीक. नॉन कॉपरेशन, ब्रेकिंग ऑफ लॉज. सो वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. टू ब्रेक लॉ यू डोंट हैव टू बी वायलेंट. To break law, you don't have to be violent, right? So non-cooperation, legal activity, legally you are opposing someone. Civil disobedience, by doing illegal actions you are breaking law, but you are non-violent. Envy is non-violent. Constructive work, samaj seva. Spirituality, so extra use of religion, positive use of religion to motivate the people, because the religion is a big energizer for the common man, right? So that is the method of Mahatma गांधी. ठीक है ना. तो उस तरीके से अगर देखा जाए तो मैं कुछ शब्द इस्तेमाल कर सकता हूँ नए वाले जो कि आज तक किसी किताब में यूज ही नहीं हुए. मैं महात्मा गांधी को मेथड के टर्म्स में कह सकता हूँ कि ही इज अ नॉन वायलेंट एक्सट्रीमिस्ट. ही इज अ नॉन वायलेंट एक्सट्रीमिस्ट. If you look at the formula, what is the method of extremist? NC plus CD plus CW plus violence if necessary. बस वो violence if necessary हटा दिया महात्मा गांधी ने. ठीक है. So he is a non-violent extremist. And extremists are also deeply religious. Ganpati festival 1893 was started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who had great knowledge of Vedas also. So they were also, in favor of spirituality. To collect masses, but in personal life also they were religious, कोई इशू नहीं है ना. तो ऐसा तो नॉन वायलेंट एक्सट्रीमिस्ट. एक और मेथड इनको बोला जाता है, देखो, एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल नॉन वायलेंट मेथड्स. Extra constitutional, that means he is not going to see when you do non cooperation, right, then you are not seeking justice through grievance redressal mechanisms of the state, right. आप तो स्टेट का तो बहिष्कार ही कर रहे हो ना, रिजाइन फ्रॉम लेजिस्लेचर्स एंड ऑल. ठीक है ना. तो एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मेथड्स हैं ये सारे के सारे. नॉन कॉपरेशन, सिविल डिसोबीडियंस. हाँ, टुडे इफ यू डू पीसफुल प्रोटेस्ट्स, दैट इज एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मेथड. If you go to Jantar Mantar, you stay peaceful, you are doing protest, that is extra constitutional method. He is thinking, but sir, right to peacefully protest, it is kind of like part of the constitution, it allows me. It's not about constitution. Constitution has two aspects in it. आप इसको verify कर सकते हैं. Polity हो गया होगा कुछ लोगों का. You can verify. Constitution deals with two aspects, the state and the people. So when you say right to peacefully protest, that aspect is like a right of the people, right. That is why I actually defined constitutional methods as grievance redressal mechanisms provided by the state. Provided by constitution नहीं कहा था मैंने, provided by state, and state is legislature, executive, judiciary. ठीक है ना. तो महात्मा गांधी के जो methods हैं, गांधीयन methods, every book calls them extra constitutional method, right. That means peaceful प्रदर्शन without breaking any law is also extra constitutional method. ठीक है ना. तो because constitutional method means using grievance redressal mechanisms provided by the state. ठीक है ना. तो ये इनके मेथड्स हैं, ठीक है ना. Spirituality, why? Because it leads to a lot of confidence. For example, in Hindu religion and in other religions also, right? These kind of statements are there. Hare ka sahara. ठीक. So that's a slogan for one of the gods of Hinduism. Similar kind of slogans are there in other religions also, right? Must be there, right? ऐसा. So therefore, see, when logical mind says that there is no hope, only one entity gives hope. Right? And the common man is armless since Arms Act 1878. Common man cannot face the mighty British. Common man is living in poverty. Common man is oppressed. There is a mass depression, collective depression in a way, ऐसा हम कह सकते हैं, at some points. So therefore, that's why spirituality was used to raise confidence that if God is with us, then we can do it. Right? That's why spirituality, use of spirituality, right? And common man who is not Western educated, उसको religion ज़्यादा चमकता, right? So therefore democracy बोलोगे common man को वो समझ नहीं पाएगा. You tell common man राम राज्य, common man like हाँ गांधी जी. What is राम राज्य? Where there is no oppression of the weak by the powerful. That's राम राज्य of Mahatma Gandhi. That common man understands. You tell common man your fundamental rights. Right? Like, कहना क्या चाहते हो? That kind of scenario. ठीक है? So this is the basic tool, right? And if we have basic tools in our hands, then in the second half of the lecture, we can talk about extremists, moderates का जो थोड़ा सा part बचा हुआ है, and we can talk about the revolutionaries. ठीक है ना? So we'll meet after the break and we'll cover this. So with respect to ideology of the moderates, they were liberals. Liberal ideology means being relatively free, that is such laws which are good, bringing best ideas of our times to the people, be it in economy. So in economy, they wanted industrial revolution, they wanted industrial capitalism, right? In politics, liberal person will want proper democracy because that is the best idea of our times, right? In society, they will be in favor of social reforms, but they said that for social reforms, social organizations should work. We are purely political organizations. That is, we are purely dedicated to economy and politics, not the society aspect. Utilitarian people are like you. That is, if I ask you, how should any problem be resolved? Your answer will be amend this law or strengthen administration in this particular manner. That is, you will talk practical things. Right? So therefore, these people, they also wanted constitutional reforms and rule of law, so that good laws are there and strong implementation of those laws are there. So they wanted things to be done with some tool. Utility is of tool, right? And law is a tool, right? So therefore, ऐसा administration को इस्तेमाल करके. Constitutionalism, all of you understand what is constitutionalism. In polity you would have studied, that is values of basic structure doctrine, I would say. You may have studied constitutionalism in a different manner, that is limiting the power of the state, but that is an incomplete definition for me. I feel the right way to define constitutionalism is that values which are prescribed in the preamble and in the basic structure, right? If they are there in a constitution, then I would say that there is constitutionalism, right? Because falsifiability principle is there, that if basic structure is not there, can we say that there is constitutionalism? If values of preamble are not imbibed in the articles of the constitution, can we say that there is constitutionalism? So therefore, element of falsifiability, that is, you falsify something to identify that what is the truth, right? Scientific method. Providence of British rule. So therefore, that is, they believed, they never demanded Purna Swaraj. They believed that if we can pressurize the British, then British have all the technology of the industrial revolution and they can do well for the Indian economy, right? If they want, if they become, if we create enough pressure on them, then they have experience of industrial revolution, they have experience of modern democracy, and therefore by under their guidance, but by pressurizing them, we can have good things for India, right? So that is what they believed in. That's why they never demanded Purna Swaraj. They were secular, they believed in national unity and industrial capitalism. Goal was limited self-government, so they themselves believed that since masses are not Western educated, so masses, they do not know the value of democracy or the process of democracy or how to work a system which is based on democracy. So masses are not ready. So we do not want power over all the structures of the state. We want only 50-50 partnership like system in the domestic sovereign functions. Right, that is partnership in ruling India. Constitutional methods, which I have already discussed. Demands, so what do you mean by limited self-government? How did they want a partnership? They said that increase the size of the Imperial Legislative Council, Provincial Legislative Council, have more Indians there. And what should be the, how much more Indians? They said that if you have more than 50% Indians, then we are okay. So they are not even demanding that all lawmakers, they should be Indian. They're demanding that, okay, more than 50%, that is good enough for us, right? Then what should be the method? They said indirect elections. They did not demand direct elections because direct elections may there is more responsibility on the masses. Masses, they have more power in direct elections, and these people, somehow it is their negative also that they did not have faith in the masses, because this elitism was there that masses are not Western educated, they do not know what is democracy, what is fundamental rights, we know it, right? They said that the masses तो supported Bahadur Shah Zafar in 1857 revolt, Rani Lakshmibai, Nana Sahib. Masses को क्या democracy, they don't have experience of that, right? तो ऐसा एक elitism था, right? With respect to servants, they said servants, they should be Indians, that is civil servants and military, right? So you be ministers, अंग्रेजों, तुम minister रहो, हम bureaucrat रहेंगे, right? And 50% legislation में रहेंगे. That was their formula of limited self-government. That is 50-50 partnership in the domestic sovereign functions, right? Extend permanent settlement in whole of British India. Why they wanted it? It was a, they can say that in permanent settlement land revenue system, the land revenue is permanently decided at an absolute amount. That means with passage of time, the land revenue burden does not increase. So therefore, but it was a selfish demand, because permanent settlement makes zamindar landowner, right? So therefore they came from landed, so that's a selfish demand. Economy, they wanted industrialization of economy for protection of the Indian companies. They wanted import tariffs to be placed. You may have studied in your economics that after 1947 we had import substitution policies. That is very high import duty is applied. So product which is traveling at 100 rupees faces a import duty of 50%. Its price will become 150 rupees. Indian product is of 130 rupees. So therefore the common man will buy the Indian product because it is 20 rupees cheaper. Why? Because artificially you have jacked up the price of the foreign product by implementing a 50% import duty. Had there been 0% import duty, then competition would be between 100 rupees versus 130 rupees Indian product. People will buy 100 rupees product, not 130 rupees product. So therefore apply import duty. They also demanded that exchange rate should be such which is in benefit of the Indian businessman. You all know that with devaluation of currency, exports they can be promoted, right? So they basically wanted devaluation of Indian rupee against the pound, right? That's a principle which you understand in economics. Decrease tax, that is land revenue, and end the salt tax. Salt tax is like GST. That is a common man goes to the shop, purchases salt, GST. So they wanted end of GST on salt, as आप सोच सकते हो. And land revenue is like income tax but in the agriculture sector. Right, as आप सोच सकते हो. So they wanted decrease and share military expenditure. So taxpayer money is being used to maintain a very large army. Please decrease that expenditure so that that money can be used for social welfare of the people. Share military expenditure. So for example, if Indian army is sent to China, right? So there India is not under threat. There certain British interests are under threat, right? So therefore, but who pays for the Indian army? Indian taxpayer. So we are telling them कि at least share तो कर ले भाई. Your birthday मैं treat दे रहा हूँ. At least share तो कर ले. Right? That is the meaning of sharing the military expenditure. Volunteer army. Volunteer army means today is like army. Any one of you who wants to be a military person is totally free to go and apply for NDA exam if you are within the age limit and you meet the criteria. Britishers, they used to deny entry, to certain people. For example, they had this concept of, for example, after the 1857 revolt, they discouraged participation of upper caste Brahmins because Mangal Pandey was Pandey, right? They had this concept of martial race. That is, certain kind of people from certain castes, they will be promoted in recruitment to the army and certain will not. So therefore, it was not open for all. volunteer army is open for everyone to join. They wanted trial by jury because trial by jury is more democratic, because 10 people, 12 people, they decide what is good. They wanted repeal of Arms Act, so that's interesting. These people, they do not, they believe in constitutional methods, so they are not in favor of violence at all, but they wanted removal of Arms Act. Why? Because Arms Act is, having arms is not a right to do violence. Having arms is also right to self-defense, which is a fundamental right. Right, so the right to self-defense. Rights of workers of Assam tea gardens. Right, so in that sense, moderates would be, whether, I ask you a question, so moderates will be in favor of having nuclear weapons or not? Moderates will be in favor of having nuclear weapons or not? Yes, but with no first use policy. Because right to self-defense, not right to, do violence, but right to self-defense. है ना? ऐसा सोच सकते हैं. Rights of Assam, rights of workers of Assam tea plantation. Moderates, they always took a stand in favor of Indian businessmen, and where the factory was of an Indian person, they did not support the worker, because moderates were pro-Indian business. But wherever the employer is Firangi, for example, the Assam tea plantation systems, they were owned by Europeans. Europeans means British. There they are in favor of workers of the Assam tea plantations. Right, so they are pro-Indian businessmen, but they are anti-Firangi businessmen. That is again a common point between extremists and moderates. Weakness of the moderates, they are not truly representative. Why? Because they only come from Madras city, Bombay city, Calcutta city. They are pro-capitalists and they are pro-landlords. Example, they wanted extension of permanent settlement to the whole of India, whereas masses are poor people. Right? So therefore you are taking a stand. Workers are the masses in the urban areas and peasants are the masses in the rural areas. So therefore you are taking pro-elite stand. So why the masses will be fighting for you if you do not fight for the masses? Goal is also very weak. है ना? What is the goal? Limited self-government. है ना? अब तुम्हारा goal ही ऐसा है that in my first attempt I'll qualify prelims. In my second I'll go for mains. है ना? Third में interview face करूँगा, fourth में pass करूँगा. है ना? तो ऐसा weak goals. है ना? तो effort will also not be full. Right? Even their ultimate goal was self-government like Australia and Canada with full British citizenship. So I say that moderates are like Ranbir Kapoor of movie Animal, non-violent Ranbir Kapoor of movie Animal. And Anil Kapoor is British. Papa Meri Jaan. है ना? मतलब ultimate goal क्या है? Love of Papa. गुस्सा किस बात पे है? Papa is not loving me. ठीक है? That is what they wanted. They're acting like an adopted child who has been adopted into a very rich family. British were rich. India was, made poor by the British. Right? And now this adopted child wants same treatment as the biological child. That is the way you rule Firangis in London, in Britain, please rule us that way. And we are becoming cranky. That's why we are writing a lot of articles, editorials. Right? That's how they are behaving. Weak methods, pen, it is not going to lead to anything. No trust in masses. Which politicians are successful? Those politicians are more successful who are Lok Sabha members. Rajya Sabha members are moderates. Lok Sabha members are extremists. Rajya Sabha members are moderates. Lok Sabha members are extremists. Lok Sabha members have love of people. They win direct elections. Rajya Sabha members, they can be intellectuals like Arun Jaitley ji. Right? Great intellectual, great strategist. But he fought elections once. From Punjab, he lost Lok Sabha elections. Manmohan Singh also. Manmohan Singh, moderate. ठीक है? So ऐसा, that kind of scenario. So no trust in masses, तो fail ही होंगे relatively. Neglected social issues which are very important for national unity. So you are saying that for you national unity is important, but you are saying Hindu-Muslim issue? क्या नहीं मुझे मत बताओ. Upper caste, lower caste issue? Right? Women empowerment issues? Because I am only talking state issues. Right? If you do not do things for the people, right, and if you do not resolve problems which are not political problems but social problems, right? So therefore, how will resolution take place? Right? For example, for the whole world, I truly believe there should be again a parliament of religions, like there was in Chicago in 1893. There are a lot of religion-based disputes in the whole world. All the elite people of every religion should come together and they should find a middle path. And those who do not follow that path, they should be condemned. And those who follow that path, they should be championed. That is the measure path for true unity. Right? Aisa. That is the view of extremists, like Shri Aurobindo. खैर, part-time politician. कह रहे मैं खाली weekend पे politics करता हूँ. है ना? So therefore they are part-time politicians. है ना? Every year they used to meet for 3 days in December. And they used to say we are all India party. Extremists that you say you are not party, you are doing party. 3 दिन का तमाशा. Good dialogues. And then you are nowhere. They did not build strong INC organization, so Indian National Congress was barbaric. Of Mahabharata, that is only head, no body. That is no office at province level, no office at district level, no office at block level. Body was built only by Mahatma Gandhi. Right? So therefore, why? जरूरत भी नहीं इनको, कि हम तो बस लैपटॉप पे काम करते हैं. You are moderate. All of you are moderate right now. Armchair intellectuals. Read editorials, write editorials. Social media post. All of you are moderates. है ना? So you require only one laptop, only one phone. What else? है ना? कहीं पे भी रील बना लेंगे. Moderates. Extremists, they go to people. उनको जरूरत ही नहीं ना संस्था की. They do not require organization. Mendicancy, petition, writing editorial is दे दे कोई नहीं देगा. है ना? तो by begging, है ना, policy of mendicancy or begging, it will not create enough pressure. है ना? So for example, like people neglect, those who are beggars are neglected on the red lights, etc. Right? So therefore the driver is like this. है ना? The beggar is like दे दे मेरा बच्चा बीमार है दे दे. असलियत में कोई बच्चा बीमार नहीं होता. मैं एक बार बहक गया था. ठीक है, वो उसका बच्चा बीमारी चल रहा है 1 हफ्ते से. भाई बच्चा बीमार है, मैंने पैसे दे दिए तो भक्ति जा तू कहाँ? हॉस्पिटल. है ना? प्रिस्क्रिप्शन ले रखा है डॉक्टर का, दवाई दे, मैं दे दिए पैसे. है, मैं भावुक हो गया, 100 रुपये दे दिया. है ना? वो पिछली अगली गाड़ी पे चली गई. 1 हफ्ते तक यही मैं गई तो मोटर ऑपरेंड है ना? तो फिर क्या हुआ? उसके बाद कुछ नहीं, मैं भी ऐसे ही. है ना? वो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन दिखाई जा रही है अगले दिन, बिकॉज सेम रूट. है ना? दे दें. है ना? तो आई एम एक्टिंग लाइक ब्रिटिश, दे आर एक्टिंग लाइक मॉडरेट. Imagine that one day if I got a different sound, है ना? ऐसा. Imagine a lot of people are there. Everyone is saying देने. है ना? ऐसा. है भाई तो मैं तो डर जाऊंगा. है ना? ऐसा दे मतलब ऐसा एंगर में, है ना? That it's our हक. है ना? I'm not comparing moderates with beggars, okay? But I'm just trying to tell a concept. पता चले मुझे ट्रोल कर दो कहीं पे. I'm भैया ठीक. But मैं एग्जाम्पल बता रहा हूँ, डेली लाइफ एग्जाम्पल. है ना? So there will be that is extremists, because it creates more pressure, right? And what is revolutionary? Then on one day you heard a different kind of sound, right? It was something like what is gun? Then I'll be like ले. I'll be like भाई ले गाड़ी की चाबी ले, पर्स ले, ATM ले, जो लेना ले. है ना? That is the meaning of mendicancy, not creating enough pressure. That is the difference. Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose used to believe that Mahatma Gandhi, आपने जो किया बहुत शानदार किया, you have done very good things. You have brought everyone into the INM. But now, non-violence will not lead to enough pressure on the British. That is the difference. Right? He also respected Mahatma Gandhi greatly, gave him the title of Father of Nation. But yes, sir. ठीक है ना? तो this kind of scenario it is there. However, positives are there. Right? It is easy to criticize our parents. Right? So but parents had their own challenges. That is the kind of approach. So, well, they are the ones who are beginning in the project of nation building. Right? For example, they focus on issues which are common to all the Indians. Right? That's why they are not taking up Hindu-Muslim issue. कि कहीं ऐसा ना लगे लोगों को that we are pro-Hindu or pro-Muslim. Right? We want to portray that we are organization for all Indians. That's why they did not pick up social issues. Right? Similarly, they focused on what you call as communal unity. Right? For example, in 1888, they took a decision that Congress will not take any decision where majority of the Muslim members, they say no. That means if any resolution is to be passed and a majority of the Muslim members of the Congress, they say no, then they will not adopt that. Plus in 1889, they requested the Britishers that whenever you expand the legislatures, please reserve seats for the Muslims in proportion to percentage in population. That is, if at all India level, if Muslim population is 20%, then please reserve 20% of the seats for the Muslims. So this is how, at least if they are not going to the people with respect to Hindu-Muslim issue, at least in their organization, they are trying to have unity. So fine, that's a positive, right? Each session was held in different location, and the president will not be from that session, right? So that will create all India level leaders, because then Bengali people will start respecting, let's say, Marathi leader, because session took place in Calcutta, and some Marathi leader, made all the speeches, did all the work. So respect will be there in the heart of Bangla people also for the Marathi person, right? And Marathi person, by being the president of that session, will now become more aware about the issues of Bengal also. He is already aware about the issues of Maharashtra, but now he is also himself also thinking about whole of India, right? So that's why they wanted this. Build culture of parliamentary politics. That means INC sessions used to take place like our Lok Sabha sessions take place, right? Speaker is president of session. The way you see Speaker of Lok Sabha, that's how President of Congress used to behave, right? The way members of parliaments behave, that way you people will behave. Parliamentary language, democratic decision making by votes, passing of resolutions, and parliamentary culture. Why they are pro-Indian capitalists? They are pro-Indian capitalists not because they hate the poor workers. They are pro-Indian capitalists because world over, if any country has done industrial revolution, they have done it with the help of strong businesses. Be it Britain, be it rest of Europe after 1870, be it America after 1865, be it Japan after 1868. For example, Japan promoted Mitsubishi from 1868. And we all know about the brand Mitsubishi. So that's why they are pro-industrial capitalists. However, Indian Councils Act of 1892, it did not give limited self-government. And therefore, ICA 1892 is proof of their failure. After this, they changed their goal. And in 1906, Congress adopted the goal of not limited self-government, but self-government within the empire, right? So therefore, if you have not met this much of my demand, so let me create more pressure on you by asking something strong. Plus, they also give drain theory now after 1892. Right? Drain theory we have already done in a previous masterclass, so we will not go through that. Extremists, their goal was Swaraj. I have already dictated to you what is Swaraj, right? That is for most of the extremists. Swaraj meant symbolic sovereignty with the British, external sovereign functions with the British, domestic sovereign functions significantly with Indians. Their methods I have already discussed, right? Constructive work, here also I have verbally I have told you, here also it is written. What was the reasons for rise of extremists? So there can be a question. Every failure in anti-British struggle, led to stronger anti-British struggle, right? So when pre-1857 revolts, they failed, then we did 1857 revolt where we were much more united. When 1857 revolt failed, then we began modern Indian national movement. When we operated through regional organizations and we failed, then we set up All India organization in 1885. When we worked as moderates, we failed, then extremists, they came out. When extremists failed, revolutionaries came out. When revolutionaries failed, तो फटा पोस्टर निकला हीरो महात्मा गांधी. तो महात्मा गांधी आ गए. जब लगा कि महात्मा गांधी फेल कर रहे हैं, तो नेताजी बोस आ गए. We did not give up. Indians did not give up. Britishers, they could not defeat the spirit of Indians. Britishers defeated our leaders who were Rajas. Britishers conquered India not by defeating Indians, but by defeating Indian kings. That's how they built colonial mentality. तुमसे पूछ कौन रहा था? The culture of asking the common person who should be the ruler was not there at that time. Right? So therefore they defeated Indian kings who also had selfish interests. Did not defeat Indian masses. Indian masses को तो कभी हरा ही नहीं पाए. So therefore one of the reason for rise of extremists was Failure of moderates. Obviously, extremists, they believed in working with the people, so they are having support of the people also. That is also the case. Plus, villain is Curzon, right? So what Curzon did? So Curzon, for example, he's authoritarian, so he does not want Indians to have any power. So he reduced the elected seats in the Calcutta municipality, right? That is one thing which he did. Second, he brought Indian Universities Act, whereby, because for him, universities were sedition factories. So who will be allowed to do PhD? What will be the tenure of PhD? These decisions were now not with professors, but these decisions were with government, right? Control of universities, because he felt that universities are sedition factories. He curtailed the freedom of press by bringing Indian Official Secrets Amendment Act. Every organization, including state, has right to keep private certain sensitive information, which does not come under RTI, right? And newspapers are not allowed to talk about it, because that can hurt the larger national interest in today's time, right? But if this much is secret information, then fine, it's okay. But what if the government says that whatever I do is secret? Then though you are preventing criticism of the government policies, right? So that is what he did. That is why it is said that Indian Official Secrets Amendment Act reduced the freedom of press. Bengal partition he did. So Bengal partition, when he did, so what was the purpose of Bengal partition? Purpose of Bengal partition was divide and rule, right? So what he basically did was this, that if this is Assam and this is what you call as Bengal, this is East Bengal, right? This is what you call as Bihar, this is West Bengal, this is Odisha, right? So they created a new province called East Bengal and Assam, and they created a new province called West Bengal. What was the purpose? The purpose was simple. A, divide the Bangla unity. Second purpose was EBA will be Muslim majority. Now most of the leaders in the Indian national movement at that time, they were not Muslims, they were Hindus, because there was late adoption of Western education by the Muslims, right? Therefore, if any elections takes place here, if any movements are started here, then leader will be obviously Bangla Hindu, but masses are not Hindu. So therefore, religion is important at that time. So they will not be able to have any support. Plus, they will be able to appease elite Muslims. So it is like divide and rule kind of a thing. Here, Bengali people are not in majority. So here also, if any movement is to be started, if any election is to be fought, then the Indian national movement leader who are having Bangla background, they will not be able to start strong movements. They will not be able to win elections. So the whole purpose of this was A, to appease the elite Muslims, B, hurt the Indian national movement in Bengal. It is clear example of divide and rule, right? We came to know about this in 1903. From 1903 till 1905, moderates, they wrote articles in newspapers that please do not partition Bengal like this. Even if you have to partition Bengal, then no problem. You divide on language basis. Create a separate Bihar, create a separate Odisha, create a Bengal, create a Assam, right? But no heed was paid, and Bengal was divided, and therefore these people began Swadeshi movement. But Swadeshi movement was not restricted to Bengal. Swadeshi movement was made all India level movement, at least in spirit, right? All India level people did not participate, but कोशिश की गई. कैसे? Partition of Bengal is only Bengal issue, but Swaraj is going to be India issue. So therefore the extremists, they said that we are not just now requesting you to undo the partition of Bengal, but we are also requesting you to give us Swaraj. The methods which they adopted was of extremist methods, that is NC plus CD plus CW plus violence if repression. So therefore, like in the domain of educational institutions, Bengal National College was set up, Bengal Technical Institute was set up, a council for education was set up, Swadeshi institutions are being set up. Bal Gangadhar Tilak set up Swadeshi stores, that is Swadeshi shops. Lala Lajpat Rai set up a Swadeshi bank. Jamsetji Tata, a businessman, he set up TISCO, right? Similarly, some chemical factories are also set up, right? Because simple hai, if you want Indians to buy Indian products, then supply should also be there, no? Of the Indian products, right? That's why impetus on Indian enterprises, right? Bipin Chandra Pal, etc., they led strikes by the workers in the foreign-owned enterprises. Bada mast hai. Anyone who has economics background, studied economics in your college? Right? Chalo, UPSC ke liye padhi rahe ho. It is clearly demand and supply. Hurt the demand of British products, increase the demand of Indian products. Hurt the supply of British products, increase the supply of Indian products. That is what Swadeshi movement is. कोई भी कार्य किया जा रहा है वो इन्हीं चार चीजों के लिए किया जा रहा है. Strikes by the workers hurts the supply of British products. Right? Asking the people, raising awareness on why to buy made in India is to increase demand of Indian products. Effort to set up Swadeshi institutions is to increase supply of Indian products. Right? So it is a demand and supply thing also. Right? You can visualize it like that. Khair. But ultimately, what happened here is that if you look at this, so the result was failure. Why result was failure? Because most of the people are poor, right? And Swadeshi goods were costly, right? Look at the ethical dilemma of the poor. He wants to participate in Swadeshi movement. He wants to buy Indian products. But he has two choices. A, he can be nationalistic. B, he can feed his child. Because if he buys the costlier Indian product, then he does not know how to feed his child. Right? So therefore, that's why Majburi mein he purchased British products. But you as Karyakarta were present and you slapped him 4 times. Forced him to buy Indian products. Do you think he'll be empathetic to the Swadeshi movement after this? So use of force against the poor to make them buy the Indian products, it also hurt participation. Most of the leaders were upper caste leaders. Those movements are successful where the leadership has different kind of leaders, so that everyone feels that okay, my neta is also there. Right? But most of the leaders were upper caste leaders. Muslim participation was also less. In Bengal, 50% of the population was Muslim population. And if 50% of the population does not participate, तो movement कैसे successful होगा? Right? So why Muslims did not participate? Because within Muslim, if I compare Muslim versus Muslim, then Muslims of Bengal were most poor compared to Muslims of UP, Muslims of Punjab. Muslims of Bengal were extra poor. So that is one aspect. Second, Muslim League was set up in 1906. It was set up by elite Muslims who are not in touch with the common man. तो इन लोगों ने पता है क्या किया? They got in touch with the Maulvis, Ulamas. They are in touch with the common man. They set up a partnership with them. That you ask the common Muslim person to not participate in Swadeshi movement. That's how Muslims they did not participate. Then religion is very close to common man. So as a result, religion was used as energizer. Like religious pledges are being taken in front of Ma Kali, that even if I die, I will not give up. Even if lathis are being poured on me, I will not give up. Right? That is my promise to you, Ma Kali. Right? Religious processions with religious slogans. As a result, the Muslims, they did not associate with the movement. Right? For example, you are in your balcony and some other religion's procession is going on. Even if you are sympathetic to their cause, आप दूर से देखोगे, है ना? आप कहोगे हाँ ठीक है, उनका मूवमेंट है, ऐसा सोचोगे, है ना? तो that was the thought of Muslims. ठीक है? So therefore that's why. तो ये हो रहा है. Then something like Surat split happened, and once Surat split happened, whereby extremists they were thrown out of the Congress, so movement became leaderless. So imagine all of us have gathered right, at 7 a.m. that our leader will come, but then the news comes that the leader is in jail. And then he came running. Police aa rahi hai. What will be our response? Bhago. Well, a common man responds like this only. है ना? Although these three were like, stop, stop, stop. Right? But बोला भाई तुझे, जब तिलक जी ही जेल में है तो हम क्या करेंगे? चलो. हाँ? ऐसा. You three are revolutionaries. Right? You people realize that you are not. You people realize that you are not Tilak. You are not Bipin Chandrapal. That people will come when you call them. But you have one thing with you. That is your life. And if you sacrifice your life for the nation, then maybe that will create such a buzz which will inspire common people to rise against the British. Right? That is how from 1907 onwards, when the civil politicians failed, guns came blazing out. Right? That's how revolutionary activities also began. Right? So what was the contribution of extremists to INM? Right? If this kind of a question it is asked. Right? You're slightly running behind time, but fine. 10-15 minutes to chal jayega na? ठीक है ना? So, for example, extremists, they contributed to changing the INC from within. How? A very important session took place in 1906 Calcutta. 1905 Swadeshi movement has begun. 1906, see the location of the session. It is Calcutta. There the extremists were able to convince Congress moderates to adopt 4 resolutions. One resolution was related to goal. That now the goal of Congress is not going to be limited self-government. It is going to be self-government within the British Empire. So stronger goal. They are changing INC from within. Right? Second, 3 resolutions were adopted. One was on nationalistic education. That is, we should promote nationalistic education. Second was Swadeshi. Third was boycott. Right? That means method. They are trying to change the method of Congress from pen to boycott and Swadeshi. Right? So they are trying to change Congress from within. Right? Then Tilak set up a nationalist party within INC for changing INC from within. इसको मतलब ये ज़्यादा important नहीं, but समझाना थोड़ा सा कठिन है, but चलो समझाने की कोशिश करते हैं. Any work which is done in an organized manner, there the chances of success are better. है ना? Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See 7, 8 people are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 7. हाँ? नहीं अभी तो दूसरा एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ मैं. तो like you are 7 people, right? You know that right now you are in minority. You believe in non-cooperation and civil disobedience, but rest of these people are moderates. They don't believe in you, right? You have 2 options. A, you get out of this party and you set up a new party, right? But that will hurt the Indian national movement. Why? Because now the world will say that the leadership of India is divided, right? Whenever you launch any movement, maybe they will not support. Whenever they will do anything, maybe you will oppose. So therefore, unity is not there at leader level. So you people did not form separate party. What you did, let us gradually convert this moderate, that moderate into extremist, right? So we are forming a party, but within the INC. So that before the session of the INC starts, we will hold a separate meeting whereby we will strategize कि कौन कब बोलेगा, पहले तू खड़ा होगा, you will bring that proposal, we'll support your presidency, ऐसा, right? And we'll try to gradually expand our stronghold on INC but from within, right? So that is what they are doing, right? तो ऐसा. But then came divide and rule, right? So these are extremists, 7 extremists. You people are moderates. Swadeshi movement is going on, right? December में Calcutta session हुआ है, but उससे just पहले ही Morley has given a speech. That speech is on India's budget. Where? In British Parliament. Morley is Secretary of State for India. Where? In London. Whereby he declares that soon there will be constitutional reforms in India. Right? You are moderate. And suddenly you are like, तुमने यूपीएससी के लिए प्रिपेयर किया था सबने, हाँ, but you could not clear UPSC. Why? Because exam was not held in India, huh? And age limit was kept low deliberately by the British. राइट, तुम्हारा एक अधूरा सपना, हाँ, फिर तुमने सोचा कोई नहीं, सर्वेंट नहीं तो मालिक बनेंगे, विल बिकम एमएलए, विल बिकम एमपी. Therefore, you were demanding constitutional reforms since long period of time. You failed in 1892 when the Indian Councils Act 1892 could not bring limited cell government, right? But now finally you feel कि कौन बोला मुझसे ना हो पाएगा, अपना टाइम आएगा. Huh? You felt that your time has come, huh? Morley, and then you people looked at these 7 extremists and like पहले भी यही हुआ था. 1857 में मेरा अटेम्प्ट था, and common people by doing 1857 revolt, huh, took away my chances. After that, Britishers became authoritative. They did not want any Indian in senior position. And now you again are provoking these uneducated common people. When they will do violence on the streets, then Britishers will not bring democratic reforms, they will apply emergency. And my dream of becoming MP, MLA will again crash. So these people, they held a session at Surat and they declared, we are not with them. And these 7 people were thrown out of Congress. And then in 1908, these moderate people gathered under a moderate whose name was Firoz Shah Mehta. And they declared, हाथ खड़ा करके, ठीक है ना, we are loyal to the British. We are loyal to the British. We are loyal to the British. Mehta Congress of 1908. It was a small convention, small meeting, right? So therefore, this is how. Now, for example, if someone beats me up, right, on the street, right? So therefore, there will not be any Twitter campaign in favor of me. Huh? But if I was BJP Neta, if I was Congress Neta, if I was Aam Aadmi Party Neta, and then I'm beaten up on the street, then there'll be a Twitter campaign in my favor. That XYZ party leader has been beaten like a dog. Huh? This kind of a campaign will be there in my favor. है ना? That is what being in party and not being in party means. That is why, my friends, every person says that after Surat split, extremists were repressed. That is now when they are sent to jail, media will not cover, international media will not say that a member, a senior leader of a primary party in India is behind bars. People will say that Tilak is arrested. People will say Bipin Chandra Pal has been forced to temporarily retire from politics. People will say that Aurobindo has been arrested. People will not say that INC leaders have been arrested. And this was a mistake because the Indian Councils Act of 1909 did not bring cell government. So therefore, moderates ka dusri baar kat gaya. And therefore, the British divide and rule was successful. That's how moderates, they became irrelevant. Right? To khair. Yeah. 1911, Bengal partition was annulled. Why? एक किताब, सेंट्रिस्ट किताब क्रेडिट देती है रेवोल्यूशनरीज को, शेखर बंदोपाध्याय. Shekhar Bandyopadhyay says, and many felt that it was because of sacrifices made by the revolutionaries that Bengal partition was annulled. Right? Why? Because the Britishers realized कि पहले पेन था, फिर people थे. Then guns arrived on the Indian political scene. And then Tilak wrote an article, Arrival of Bomb. Bomb has arrived on the Indian scene. Right? So therefore they realized that they are playing with fire. However, what they did, they basically changed the capital from Calcutta to Delhi. And that did what Curzon wanted to do. That is, importance of Bengali leaders came down. Because when you're operating in capital, na, you have much more. If tomorrow, let's say, Chennai becomes capital, so therefore all over India, people will know the names of Chennai politicians much more. Well, that is Tamil Nadu politicians much more. Right? So, Aam Aadmi Party, had it been Pondicherry, it would not have become so famous. Because Aam Aadmi Party is in capital. Right? Because capital is the headquarter of the state. Right? So that's why Jantar Mantar is also in capital. Right? So that's why. So capital leads to certain positives which are there. Right? खैर बाकी सारे बहुत सारे positives भी थे. They changed the call method इन्होंने लेके आए, nationalistic education को promote किया, स्वदेशी enterprises picketing of shops, for mobilizing masses. ये बड़ा interesting है, इसको usually people do not give much importance, but mainly ये बड़ा important है, because Congress was barbaric, ना, only head was there. Now, if you are only head, right, organization is not there, and you want to have a mass movement, so someone has to do that work, na? Someone has to do the work at province level, at district level, at block level. So therefore, that's why these samitis, you read any book and it is mentioned that samitis mobilize the masses. Samitis are like small organizations. So since Congress does not have a body, so किसी को तो ये काम करना है ना, someone has to do this work. So that's the importance of samitis, right? Same is the importance of home rule leagues. 1916-18 home rule leagues, right? There also what is the situation, that the body, it is not there. So therefore you have to set up some organization at the grassroots level, right? So this was the work. Jatras, that is theatre for awareness, religious pledges, working class strikes, I've already told. Awareness, bada, new methods are developed, nationalistic symbols like Bande Mataram, Mamar Shunar, Bangla, contributed to Indian Councils Act 1909, right? However, negative is that Muslim League was set up, and another negative is that capital is Delhi, right? So therefore that is what the scene is. एक इसका biggest positive पता है क्या है? One of the positive is that awareness on economic aspects of British rule increased. It is a beautiful point. How it is a beautiful point? It is a beautiful point. Why? Because you are a common man, you are a poor person, okay? I am an extremist leader, right? I come to you and I tell you that please buy Swadeshi products. Please buy Swadeshi products. Your first question will be that, sir, you are our friend or you are our enemy? Swadeshi products are costly. Any which way, I am living under poverty. Why should I buy Indian products? So therefore, I would have to convince you. And you know how would I convince you? In layman language, I would have to explain to you what. Two words are there. Fill in the blanks. In layman language, I would have to explain to you. Answer is in 2 words. Socho. I am asking you to buy the more expensive Swadeshi goods. I need to convince you, and you are poor. So in layman language, I would have to explain to you 2 words. सोचो कैसे कन्विंस करूंगा ना मैं तुमको कि तुम महंगा चीज खरीदो. Two words. Moderates explained those 2 words to those people who could read, who were intellectuals. Extremists will now explain those 2 words to the common man in Desi language. Drain theory. So moderates explained drain of wealth from India to those who could read. Who will explain drain of wealth to those Indians who cannot read? Who cannot read means who cannot read English, right? Or who are not Western educated. I would have to explain to you in such common man language that short-term pain, my friend, but long-term gain. Right? If you buy the British products, then ultimately drain of wealth is taking place. तुम्हारा सारा पैसा विदेश जा रहा है, ये समझाना पड़ेगा तुम्हें. Right? So therefore, that's why I highlighted that 92% of the population of India was illiterate. Moderates, they targeted that 8%. Who will target the 92%? It was extremists and Mahatma Gandhi. That's why they used language like Ram Rajya, because common man को वो समझ में आता है. Right? Drain theory. That is the meaning of this sentence, and this sentence is there in every book, but they don't explain it like this. Right? तो खैर, home rule leaks. What are home rule leaks? So basically, when Bal Gangadhar Tilak ji, he came back from jail, 1998 to 1914. He was there in Mandalay, Burma. So he found that the Indian national movement is in doldrums, right? So it is bleeding, it is down and out. So therefore, to uplift, so you understand about Tilak, that Tilak is a person who cares about ends and less about means, right? So therefore, he wanted to strengthen the INM. For that, he wants to enter into INC. For that, he wants to do activity without Britishers banning that activity. So he starts saying things which are music to the ears of moderates and British. He declares, I'm loyal to Raj. Right? So British are like, oh, 6 saal wahan reh ke, good, good. Moderates are also like, oh, when we said we are loyal to Raj, everyone criticized us. Now see, Tilak 6 saal mein akal ठिकाने आ गया. Tilak said, violence has hurt Indian national movement. Right? So moderates like, देखो, देखो, हम तो तब से कह रहे थे, है ना? हाँ, 6 साल रह के अकल ठिकाने आ गया. Right? And these things are music to the ears of British also, because World War I is going on, and Britishers, they do not want any kind of local disturbance. Right? He said that, right? So these are the things which he is saying. Right? He said that for me, Swaraj is not Poon Swaraj. So that is music to the ears of British. That Swaraj is self-government within the British Empire. Right? So these are the things which is basically saying. He asked the Indians to support the British war effort. That is, ask the youth, please join British Indian Army, support them in the World War I. Ask the workers who are working in the factories, please don't go on strike. Continue producing goods for the British Indian Army. Right? Continue to pay land revenue on time, because money is required to fight war. So this is music to the ears of British. Why? Because he wanted to revive INM. He'll show his true colors soon. Tilak will show his true colors.
UPSC Prelims is not just the first step in your civil services examination journey. It is also an opportunity to form a strong foundation for all stages of the examination. What you study today will help you accomplish results tomorrow. Be it syllabus, time management, revision or expert guidance, effective preparation is an amalgamation of all this and much more. Walk in the footsteps of UPSC toppers and pave the way for your UPSC Prelims success with the Laksha Prelims Mentoring Program 2025, starting from 11th January. This well-thought program is curated to offer a balanced study approach with personalized mentoring from experts, offering benefits such as strategic plan for revision and practice for GS, CSAT and current affairs, continuous performance assessment and feedback, personalized mentoring from highly experienced and qualified mentors, dedicated support, motivation and technological assistance, smart and efficient preparation strategy, access to Sandhan personalized test with 25,000 plus high quality questions, along with access to Laksha Prelims practice tests. Enroll today and conquer UPSC Prelims 2025 heads-on with structured guidance and mentoring. Looking for strong revision, innovative curriculum and dedicated mentoring for the General Studies paper of UPSC Prelims 2025? With only a few months left for the prelims exam, does the lack of mentoring, robust syllabus and absence of revision strategy make you anxious? Vision IAS has the perfect solution for you. Join the Fast Track Course 2025, covering every aspect of students' preparation including coverage of GS Prelims syllabus, dedicated mentoring and guidance for performance maximization, regular practice with sectional mini tests, access to PT 365 for current affairs preparation, performance assessment and feedback. Available both offline and online, choose the program mode as per your convenience and excel in GS Prelims with high scores. Admission to the course now open. With UPSC Prelims 2025 knocking at your doorstep, are you feeling the jitters? Is the vast syllabus making you anxious, and are you struggling to use these last months effectively to revise and brush up your knowledge? Stay calm and take charge of your preparation. Utilize these last months effectively to revise each subject thoroughly with the quick revision classes for General Studies Prelims 2025 starting on 5th February at 1 p.m. These classes offer comprehensive coverage of key subjects and topics for quick revision. Seize the opportunity and stand out in UPSC Prelims with targeted documents like the quick revision module. Commence your quick revision classes for features including thematic coverage of GS syllabus, coverage of core subjects like polity, economy, and more, personalized one-on-one mentoring support, comprehensive and updated quick revision module, integrated assessment and feedback. In these last crucial months, act wisely and choose the smart revision strategy to excel in UPSC Prelims.
Soon, right? ऐसा. Baki to the people also he said something. To the people he said that if God tolerates untouchability, I'll refuse to recognize him as God. In fact, he started the Ganpati festival in 1893 because God Ganpati was worshipped by both upper caste and lower caste. And he was a voracious reader of Vedas. Right? So therefore, any person who has true knowledge of Hinduism is not a casteist person. Right? Those who have fake knowledge, they believe in casteism. Right? Aisa. He also demanded linguistic reorganization of provinces of India, what we did in State Reorganization Act 1956 after independence. Tamil के लिए तमिलनाडु, तेलुगु के लिए आंध्र प्रदेश, तुम तो अपना ले गए अलग से तेलंगाना, है? Similarly, Karnataka for Kannadigas, for Malayalam speakers Kerala, है ना? ऐसा तिलक चाहते थे कब? 1916 में. उत्तर प्रदेश तो ठीक है, हिंदी मेजॉरिटी है, उस तरीके से हिंदी लैंग्वेज है, तो that kind of scenario, ठीक है? So that is what he demanded because it leads to good governance, right? Annie Besant supported him. Annie Besant was a British lady who had joined what you call as the Congress in 1914, and Annie Besant said that she was sympathetic to our Indian national movement because she was that she was inspired by the Irish national movement also. So she चुप हो जा, डिस्टर्ब कर रहा है यार, कान में काना फूसी कर लो, ठीक? तो वैसे ही टाइम जाए जा रहा है यार, रेवोल्यूशनरीज भी करना अभी, ठीक है? तो खैर क्या कह रहा था? हाँ, so she was Irish. She was also head of Theosophical Society. Theo is religion, Sophy is philosophy, right? So therefore, ऐसा एक religious movement था with headquarters in Madras, right? So she campaigned, tried to convince the moderates, please allow re-entry of the extremists, right? Ultimately, she was able to convince them, and in 1916 Lucknow session, re-entry happened, right? So therefore, Tilak is able to achieve re-entry of the extremists into the INC. That is one thing. However, Indian National Congress did not agree to Home Rule Leagues. What was the idea of Home Rule Leagues? The plan of Home Rule Leagues was that we will go to the common man, and what the moderates do in the newspapers, that we will do to the common man or for the common man in layman language. That is, we'll explain to the common man in layman language what is Swaraj, why Swaraj will be good for us, and why in future you should support Swaraj. That means political education. Will not ask people to do non-cooperation, will not ask people to do any kind of boycott, will not ask people to do any kind of civil disobedience, will not ask people to break any laws or do violence. You are simply going to go to the people and educate them, right? So जो उनको western educated, non-western educated लोगों को नहीं मिल पाया है modern nationalism, we'll try to educate them. So we'll hold Lenten lectures, maybe some other ways to raise awareness on democracy, right? So Britishers, they allowed this because, well, they have a narrative of democracy. So if someone is not opposing you, so why, right? But moderates, they did not agree to this because they did not trust the masses. That is why Annie Besant and Tilak, they had to set up home rule leagues to do this. They set up 2 separate leagues. And the reason for that was that so that followers में कोई clash ना हो. Because Tilak's followers were deeply religious and Marathi. ऐसे ही Annie Besant के from Madras, right? तो ऐसा मतलब कार्यकर्ताओं में issue ना हो जाए. So they divided their areas. Tilak set up Indian Home Rule League. Annie Besant set up All India Home Rule League. In April 1916, Tilak, and in September 1916, Annie Besant. So ऐसा चलता रहा. Annie Besant, her methods, she is like 1.5 moderate. मतलब she is more stronger than moderate, believes in going to people, but she is not in favor of civil disobedience at all. She is not in favor of non-violence at all. Non-cooperation, maybe she is confused. Right, so she is like going to the people and doing what moderates do in the newspapers. ऐसा है कुछ इनका. तो खैर, she made some speech which the Britishers felt that could have, you know, incited the masses. Although उन्होंने ऐसा कुछ कहा नहीं था. Actually, masses खुद भरे बैठे थे. Because World War I is going on, right? And because of the World War I, inflation was rising. Common man does not want to be MP, MLA, minister. Common man wants economic security, physical security, socio-cultural security. So economic security is down because of inflation. So common man भरा बैठा, right? तो common man पहले तो समझ रहा है what is स्वराज, है? After some time in the 10th meeting, common man like हमका चाहिए स्वराज, करना क्या है बताओ? I want स्वराज, है ना? तो common man is getting restless, right? Because you have told them that after स्वराज life will be झिंगा लाला, right? So common man after 10th lecture like हाँ हमको आ गया समझ, हमको चाहिए, करना क्या है? ऐसा. तो Britishers are also noticing this, हाँ. तो ऐसा, तो ठीक है जी. तो they arrested Annie Besant. ना, once Annie Besant is arrested, after that, ना, मतलब after that moderates, they also joined. अब मतलब मैं क्या कहूँ, मतलब मैं तो ऐसा layman वही समझता हूँ, है ना, कि men will be men, है ना. मतलब हमार तिलक, हाँ, 6 years in Mandalay Burma, nothing happened. Aurobindo, left politics permanently, pursued spirituality. Bipin Chandra Pal had to leave politics temporarily. Or Annie has gone to jail. है ना ऐसा. तो भाई सारे के सारे moderates, they joined home rule leagues, right? And then the Britishers, they felt कि भाई ये तो उल्टा पड़ गया, है ना? This is fired back. So they released Annie Besant, right? Who was anyway old aged lady, respected lady. But यहाँ पे तिलक वगैरह के जो हैं जूते घिस गए to become president of INC. And यहाँ पे एनी जेल में गई हैं, तो एनी इधर बैठो आप इधर, एनी 1917 session, you are president of INC. चेयरें तोड़ दी इन्होंने, shoes were hurled and chairs were broken in 1907 सूरत session because Lala Lajpat Rai wanted to be president. हाँ, यहाँ एनी जुम्मा 4 दिन हुए आए हुए. 1914 में ज्वाइन किया कांग्रेस. हाँ, एनी, है ना. दिस इज एलिमेंट ऑफ ब्राउन साहिबनेस ऑफ द मॉडरेट्स. तो खैर एक्सट्रीमिस्ट भी सब समझ रहे हैं, है ना. देन एक्सट्रीमिस्ट प्रपोज्ड, नाउ तिलक विल शो हिज ट्रू कलर. नाउ तिलक विल शो ट्रू कलर्स. हाँ, कैसे? masses have been pepped up, Indian national movement has been lifted from depression, so therefore now they proposed a program of non-cooperation. And Annie got confused. Moderates like, Annie? No. Huh? Extreme like, Annie, come on, please. Right? Sadly, she sided with the moderates. And therefore, second time, the extremists are failing to convert Indian National Congress into an organization of masses. That's the success of Gandhiji. That he was able to, convert INC into organization of masses, make INC adopt methods of non-cooperation, civil disobedience. He found a middle path. How? Moderates compromised on people's participation. That is, they said, okay, people's participation, good. Extremists compromised on violence. Extremists used to say, na, violence if oppressed. भाई हम आराम से धरना प्रदर्शन कर रहे हैं, लाठी चार्ज हो गया, then we have right to do something. right? So ऐसा middle path, non-violence was the middle path for the extremists, and NCNCD, NCW, that was the middle path for the moderates, right? So that's how Mahatma Gandhi was a brilliant at arbitration में, right? So that is what they are doing. तो खैर बाकी positive हुआ, right? 60,000 people participated, and awareness definitely बढ़ी. New leadership was developed, right? For example, Jawaharlal Nehru ji joined NEB Cents, All India Home Rule League. तो ये सब कुछ positives है. For the first time, modern nationalistic ideas they reached UP, Bihar, South India, and all other parts, right? तो ऐसा. Divide and rule भी हुआ. ये just before this anything, like Morley's budget speech, Montagu is also Secretary of State, and he also made a statement, Montagu's statement of 1917. It was made in August. That's why it is also known as August Declaration, whereby Montagu said, we will give Swaraj to Indians wholly, wholly. That is, it is policy of the British to give self-government to Indians gradually and in future. Again, the moderates were like, that's why this NE got confused and moderates were opposing, non-cooperation and all, right? तो ऐसा हुआ. तो ये सब चीजें हैं. ठीक है. Lucknow Pact was one pact whereby what happened is that for the first time, Indian National Congress and Muslim League they gave joint demands, right? So that was like the unity usse improve हुआ. But the negative of this was that Indian Councils Act 1909 had given separate electorates to the Muslims, and here Congress accepted the idea of separate electorates. So therefore that was a negative thing, that the Indian National Congress had to accept the idea of separate electorates, because separate electorates is synonymous with partition of India in future, right? Today it is our constituency, our candidate, only we will vote. Tomorrow it is our Pakistan, right? So that's how separate electorates. Separate electorates is the idea that if a seat is reserved for a community, then right to vote will not be available to people who are not members of that community, right? So for example, in 2023, we have brought reservation for women, but with joint electorates. You will also get voting right if your constituency is reserved for a lady, right? If it had been that a seat is reserved for ladies and there only ladies will get right to vote, then it would have been reservation with separate electorates, right? Tomorrow it could have resulted in creation of Behenistan, Feministan. Today it is our seat. Why should any other gender get right to vote? Tomorrow it is our Feministan, where men will be all second class citizens, right? This kind of scenario that was brought by Indian Councils Act of 1909, but for the not for the females but for the Muslims, right? तो खैर ये Montfort reforms we'll do in the next master class, right? तो खैर बाकी workers वगैरह ले किया. Now let us come to this topic of 20 मिनट दे दो मेरे को, 20 मिनट में कर लेंगे, ठीक है ना? Revolutionaries वाला.